A work requirement that might not win federal approval. House and Senate bargainers submitting a plan just ahead of a Monday night deadline. More on these stories at townhall.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning fog makes way for a lot of sunshine today. This turns out to be a dry and warmer day. Highs jumping into the low 80s this afternoon. A light south wind developing. Tonight, scattered showers, a few rumbles of thunder possible. This looks like a quick hit here. Nothing too intense or long lasting. Down to about 63 for the overnight low. Wednesday trends even warmer with highs in the middle 80s tomorrow. Mainly dry, but there is a low rain chance in the evening. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
Hello, St. Louis. This is Everett Jones of Jones Air and Water Treatment. I know you're ready for some summer weather. While we still have the spring to get through, this is a great time to think about your swimming pools. That's right, now is a great time to save on EcoSmart salt-free, chlorine-free, acid-free pool products. Call now and get 50% off glass-packed media and 15% off all other EcoSmart products. Call now at 636-899-1040, now through the end of April.
Listen anytime.
It happens
anywhere. Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news
with the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
I'm Greg Gutfeld.
I'm Martha McCallum.
I'm Brett Baer, and this is the Fox News Rundown.
Tuesday, April 30th, 2024. I'm Dave Anthony. Former President Trump returns to court today for a criminal trial in New York that may not hurt his 2024 campaign.
I think either a guilty verdict or a hung jury is basically, if that's the result, is kind of priced into the polling right now.
I'm Lisa Brady. Many Americans aren't buying what President Biden is selling about the economy because they're not feeling it.
They're going to the gas station right now and it stinks. They're going to the grocery store, it stinks. They're going to the car lot, it stinks. They're looking at houses, it stinks. Everything stinks. All that stuff looks unaffordable.
And I'm Jason Chaffetz. I've got the final word on the Fox News Rundown.
Election Day keeps creeping ever closer. It's now 27 weeks away.
I see an economy that grows from the middle out and the bottom up, where the wealthy pay their fair share, so we can have child care, paid leave, and so much more, and still reduce the federal deficit and increase economic growth.
But as President Biden keeps making his case for 4 more years, the economy is slowing down, prompting former President Trump to say after the report on less GDP growth last quarter,
the numbers are very bad. This is Bidenomics. It's catching up with them.
The new CNN poll gives the former president a 6-point lead ahead of their 2024 rematch. It's a 9-point Trump lead factoring in third-party candidates. 6 in 10 voters in the survey say the Biden presidency is a failure, while 55% say the Trump presidency was a success. But the two remain close in battleground state polls.
I've always said that the way to read the polls at this stage is to primarily just look at Trump's number.
Arnon Mishkin is the director of the Fox News Decision Desk.
Because I think in the end, Trump is going to get whatever number the average of the polls shows in the last few weeks of the election. I think basically Trump is such a primary color character that, and everyone in America knows whether they love him or don't love him. And that issue isn't going to change. And it's always sort of in the mid to high 40s, that we've seen lately in the CNN poll. He's at 49. He was at 49 a few weeks ago in the CNN poll. Biden, on the other hand, is this pastel colored, plain vanilla, journeyman politician. And I would argue that there's no one who really loves him, and there are very few who really hate him. There are a lot of people who hate his policies, and a lot of people who kind of support his policies. And that's why when you look at the polls, depending on the pollster, it always seems like Trump stays where he is in that poll, and Biden bounces around based on what's been happening. And lately, what's been happening with Biden is a little negative. Despite the fact that, the inside baseball players feel like he won in Congress on aid to Ukraine. He got a lot of bills through Congress. That, to most voters, is truly inside baseball. What matters is what they see on the ground. And what they see on the ground is the border is still a problem. Inflation is not going away. Ukraine is still a stalemate. The situation in Gaza with the war between Israel and Hamas is ugly at best. And Biden doesn't seem to be able to stop any of that.
And there's all these protests across the country, too, on the campuses that are pro-Palestinian. And it's interesting because that's a lot of noise in April. We have no idea what any of this is going to be like in November.
That's exactly right. And the other thing that's coming out in the polls is that the public, and by the public, I mean a majority of the public, believes that Donald Trump was a successful president. They judged Trump based on the first 3 years pre-COVID of his administration, when the economy was strong, there wasn't a war going on, and they say Trump was a good president. Meanwhile, Biden has all these other issues going on right now, and the majority of the public thinks Biden has not been a successful president. Now, that is a real opportunity for the former president. It's also a bit of an opportunity for Joe Biden, because he does have 6 months to change some of that. Is the situation in Gaza and the war going to change between now and November? And people say foreign policy doesn't matter ever in elections. Foreign policy shows whether or not a president is feckless, the way Jimmy Carter was, or a president is effective, the way Ronald Reagan was. And even though people don't really care about foreign policy, they care about seeing if their president is any good. And so Biden has a chance in these situations to make himself appear responsible or effective, but he also has a risk of appearing feckless.
So Vice President Harris on Monday went to Georgia, went to Atlanta, focusing on economic opportunity. The Biden agenda, obviously, on the economy gets negative marks with a majority of voters. There was a Wall Street Journal survey earlier in April that seemed to suggest that a majority of black men may consider voting for former President Trump in swing states. Do you think that that part of the electorate can swing that much away from Democrats in the 2024 election?
I would be skeptical that Joe Biden is going to lose the black vote. But I do think that every pollster has suggested that there is a weakness amongst minority voters, both African-American and Hispanic voters, and both those groups are groups that Biden needs to win. He needs to win the African-American vote by 90%. I don't think he's going to lose the African-American vote, but I do believe the polls are suggesting he ain't going to get 90% of it. And that's a problem. And he also is going to win the Hispanic vote, I believe. But again, if he wins that Hispanic vote with 75%, that's one story. If he wins the Hispanic vote with 60%, that's a very different story. And that's a story. And both those numbers are suggestive that Donald Trump moves into the White House again in January of 25.
The issue, though, for Democrats seems to still be like it was in 2022, the Supreme Court and the ruling on abortion that has moved this issue in the states and lawsuits, and there's also ballot issues. Can that issue be the winner for President Biden that they're hoping?
It depends on your definition of winner, okay? Do I think that energizes many Democrats? Absolutely. Do I think that one thing it has absolutely done is it has given them a way to use Vice President Kamala Harris effectively, because basically they put her on Air Force One every day. She travels to a state. She visits an abortion clinic. She talks about the importance of abortion rights. And she gets on Air Force One and goes to another state to do the same thing. And she's been doing that fairly effectively. And so, yes, do I think it helps them? Absolutely. Do I think that and maybe that's 1 or 2 points? But I don't think that in and of itself is going to carry them to victory unless they have some other stuff to tell the public about.
There's a Monmouth poll that came out also on Monday of so-called double haters. That was the headline out of the poll, that essentially 1 in 6 voters don't like either President Biden or former President Trump. How much of a story can they be in this election? Do you think that number is a surprise? I was thinking it might actually be higher than that.
Yeah, I would have thought it would be higher than that as well. I think it is a story, because up to now, those polls of double haters suggest that Trump is winning them. And by the way, the reason Trump won the White House in 2016 is because the double haters, the people who hated Hillary and hated Trump, voted for Trump. Basically because many people in the media were assuring voters that there's no way Clinton could lose that election. And so they thought, she's not going to win. She doesn't even have my vote. And so I hate them both. The easiest way to express that is to vote for Trump. I don't know if history repeats itself this time. I think that Biden needs to focus on that. He needs to figure out a message that tells people who don't really like him that guess what, he's been kind of effective, and come up with something that demonstrates that he actually, for an old guy, he knows what he's doing. So far, I don't think they've gotten that message across at all.
This morning, testimony resumes at the first Trump criminal trial in New York. Fox's Eric Shawn is outside the court.
Back on the stand will be Michael Cohen's former banker, Gary Farrow. On Friday, Farrow testified that he urgently set up a shell company, Essential Consultants, that prosecutors say was used to move the money to pay off Stormy Daniels. But so far, no witnesses tied Trump directly into the alleged scheme to hide his alleged affairs, both with Stormy and allegedly with former Playboy playmate Karen McDougal, to hide them from the public to protect his presidential campaign.
He is only charged in this trial with falsifying records over the payments to Stormy Daniels to keep her quiet in 2016. The former president continues to say it's political persecution, election interference.
There's no case whatsoever. It's a disgrace. We have a conflicted judge, and it shouldn't be happening. Not in this country.
A big unknown, how this trial will affect the 2024 vote.
I think either a guilty verdict or a hung jury is basically, if that's the result, is kind of priced into the polling right now. The one thing that would work to Trump's favor very well is if he comes out with a not guilty verdict. I think it's baked in, even a conviction. I think you see so many leaders of the Republican Party already sort of building that fence by saying that they'll support Trump even if he's convicted. And so I don't see it as being that impactful. You'd rather, when you're running for president, you'd rather not be under indictment. You'd rather not be in court 4 days a week. But I think that everyone sort of, particularly those people who think the former president was effective, think that's the price we have to pay to get someone who's going to be enough of a disruptor to fix things in America. 2
of the battleground states, Georgia and Arizona, both have indictments related to the 2020 election and Trump attempts to overturn the Biden victory in those states. But the former president in the Fox poll recently has a pretty good lead in Georgia, and he could still win Arizona again, despite all that, right?
Well, that's right. I mean, I think particularly given that they look like they're going to overturn the 1864 law banning all forms of abortion in Arizona. The border is going to be really important in Arizona. Hispanic voters in Arizona are, I think, focused on the border. And so I think that he could easily win one or both of those states. They are kind of must-win states for Trump. They're important wins states for Biden. But absolutely, he could. Trump can easily win those states, despite the fact that in one state he's under indictment, and in another state all his people are under indictment for trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election.
Is there a must-win for President Biden of those states, the battleground states?
In the battleground states, I'd say the must-win are Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and all those look iffy right now.
Arnon Mishkin, director of the Fox News Decision Desk, 27 weeks until Election Day. Great to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
Sneezing, coughing, stuffy nose, runny nose, postnasal drip, interrupted sleeping. I was groggy at the end of the day.
Allergies and sinus congestion were making Jana miserable. Then a friend recommended Navage. Navage provides immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Navage helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
Navage gave me instant relief. I didn't have to wait 30 minutes. I didn't have to wait an hour, 90 minutes. I didn't have to wait a minute. I ran the rinse and I felt better.
Stop suffering from congestion and start breathing and feeling your best again with Navage. Navage.
I've had people ask me how I find relief, and I tell them Navage immediately. This thing is amazing.
Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA.
In Manhattan, the Trump hush money case begins again. Are we really going to learn anything new or just hear more persecution?
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michael's Flooring Outlet. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michael's to rip up their old carpet and replace it, and they are both happy with the product and installation from Michael's. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
When it's important to you,
I have it on all day at work.
It's on News Talk STL.
What is your message to Iran in this moment?
Don't.
The world's leading terror sponsor launching its first direct military assault against Israel.
The administration has lost their capability to deter Iran.
News, analysis, opinion.
Trump faces 34 felony counts of falsifying business records.
Number 1 for live and local conservative talk.
Election interference, everybody knows it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
They're going to ball out. Week 6 of the United Football League. The Houston Roughnecks take on A.J. McCarron and the St. Louis Battlehawks. Saturday, 3 Eastern on Fox.
Kick it off, baby. Let's rock.
Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, April 30th. This is the Fox News Rundown. I'm Sue Guzman. Former President Trump's hush money trial set to resume today in New York City. Fox's Nate Foy with a preview.
Michael Cohen's former banker, a man by the name of Gary Farrow, will once again take the stand. He started his testimony on Friday, and he testified that he set up multiple accounts for Cohen, including one called Essential Consultants, LLC, that prosecutors say Cohen used to wire adult film actress Stormy Daniels $130,000. So far, prosecutors have not directly tied Trump to an alleged conspiracy to win the 2016 presidential election. Former American media CEO and president David Pecker testified that he and Cohen suppressed damaging stories about Trump during the 2016 campaign.
In addition, New York Judge Juan Merchan expected to decide whether Trump violated his gag order. Today is the deadline for federal student loan borrowers to become eligible for debt cancellation. We have details from Fox's Jeff Manasso.
College students hoping to get their student debt canceled or get credits toward loan forgiveness have until midnight tonight to fill out and submit a loan consolidation application to be eligible for student loan debt relief that the Biden administration is pledging to about 30 million Americans through the Department of Education before the November election. The push for taxpayer-funded student loan forgiveness after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled the Biden administration's first attempt at student loan forgiveness was unconstitutional. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
A major debate on Capitol Hill regarding anti-Israel protesters. Fox's Aisha Hasni with more from Washington, D.C.
That divide is really going to be on display this week when the House votes on Congressman Mike Lawler's anti-Semitism bill. That vote happens this week. It allows the Department of Education to apply a broader definition of anti-Semitism on college campuses and then defund any schools not enforcing it. It is expected to get bipartisan support from those pro-Israel Democrats. Now, Republicans have sure found a wedge issue that splits Democrats as protests smolder nationwide. Yesterday, Senator Fetterman took another swipe at the, quote, pup tent for Hamas college protests. And it comes as Congresswoman Omar's comments about some Jewish students being pro-genocide.
And Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar set off the fireworks when she said that some Jewish students were pro-genocide. Without naming her, New York Representative Richie Torres called those remarks, quote, anti-Semitic dehumanization at work. And the U.S.'s hard-hit heartland is at risk of more severe weather this week as recovery efforts from earlier severe storms continues. Another round of severe weather targeting the exact same areas of the plains and Midwest hit late last week and this weekend. I'm Sue Guzman on the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. The Vic Porcelli Show.
So I was listening to Stand and Fight Sunday night from 6 to 8 on News Talk STL, and Nick Schroer does a great job. Too good, I think. But we'll have him on Tuesday at 9:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Let me tell you what will improve the security, the beauty, the energy efficiency of your home. Durable windows from Window World. Mike Ferguson here, encouraging you to call them today, 314-993-1800. Window World uses a double-strength glass that has a lifetime warranty. In fact, that warranty covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. Call them today. Find out what they can do for you. 314-993-1800. Once again, 314-993-1800.
What's the key to maximizing the value of your outdoor space? Satisfaction. In getting a fence or deck that exceeds expectations with the highest quality, American-made material. And working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. And adding safety and security for your family and pets to play, relax, and entertain. At STL Fenceworks, satisfaction is our core value. Doing it right the first time, standing above the competition. At STLFenceworks.com, your satisfaction is our passion.
Seavers JCB has amazing deals on JCB mini excavators ranging from 2 tons to 10 tons. It's your choice to take 5 on one of these great offers. 0% financing for 5 years or up to $5,500 cash rebate and a 5-year warranty. See terms and conditions for details, but don't wait too long. These offers are for a limited time at Seavers JCB. And check out their full line of industry-leading JCB equipment. Check them out online at SeaversJCB.com.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Kim Patton from Comprehensive Integrative Healthcare. Kim, you focus on the treating of neuropathy. What are the signs of neuropathy?
The most common symptoms are numbness, burning, cramping, usually in the hands and feet.
Tell me about the success you're having with your Restore Neuropathy treatment program.
Tim, our program includes 8 distinct steps, offering a unique experience from other treatments. No surgery, no addictive medications, and we are seeing a success rate of 95%.
Kim, that is incredible. How can people learn more?
Visit us online at CIH.health. That's CIH.health.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. Car Shield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. On this Tuesday, last Saturday's White House Correspondents' Dinner was standard fare. Thousands of Washington, D.C. establishment folks feeling very good about themselves. Joe and Kamala front and center, most of the jokes on Trump. By this point in history, everyone knows that the district is much like Hollywood. If you want to work there, you must have liberal sensibilities. Now, I attended a number of these soirees back when Fox News dominated the daily discussion. Mostly enjoyed myself. In fact, I invited Donald Trump long before he entered politics. We had a few laughs. The after party at the French embassy is always the big invitation. One year, I had nice chats with Katy Perry, Elizabeth Banks, and Obama's Attorney General Eric Holder. Learned a lot. Everyone was civil. Today, that doesn't happen. Fox had a very small presence at this year's event and was lambasted by comedian Colin Jost. Soft target. Like almost everything else in the media, the thrill is gone. President Biden launched a few one-liners but paled next to Barack Obama, who really knew how to deliver a monologue. Mr. Jost looked a bit lost without his Saturday Night Live shield. If you want to see a comedian command the room, check out Jay Leno's 2010 appearance. All in all, it was mediocre. And that's what the media is today, unfortunately. Back after this. You can now watch new episodes of the No Spin News live on Samsung TV Plus. Tune in each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV for breaking news, honest analysis, and the best election coverage in America. Please join me, Bill O'Reilly, at the First TV, now available on Samsung TV Plus. Start watching today on your Samsung television, Galaxy devices, or the Samsung TV Plus mobile app. Check out the No Spin News each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the first TV, Samsung TV Plus. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning fog makes way for a lot of sunshine today. This turns out to be a dry and warmer day. Highs jumping into the low 80s this afternoon. A light south wind developing. Tonight, scattered showers, a few rumbles of thunder possible. This looks like a quick hit here. Nothing too intense or long lasting. Down to about 63 for the overnight low. Wednesday trends even warmer with highs in the middle 80s tomorrow. Mainly dry, but there is a low rain chance in the evening. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
The future depends on teachers. Every day, teachers are shaping our tomorrows, starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history.
Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who will make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who will help combat climate change,
and generating possibilities for a student who will become the first in their family to graduate college.
It all starts with teachers who meet challenges with creativity, who reinvent education for the future, who work towards a school system that lifts up every child, regardless of race, income, or zip code, and who enable the full potential of our students, our communities, and our country.
Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You know what a lot of leftists just can't stand? They can't stand the consequences of their own actions. They want to be able to disrupt other people. They want to be able to take over private property. They want to be able to break laws, and they don't want to have to suffer any consequences for it. St. Louis Board of Aldermen President Megan Green is saying she's been put on leave from Washington University, where she's a professor of whatever. Well, the apparent Hamas sympathizer is now dealing with consequences for her own actions. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on, starting in the morning news dump here in about 15 minutes. Hey, Mike Ferguson here. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of this Tuesday morning. The Missouri legislature back in session. And things are, pretty much down to the wire. I mean, we've got less than 3 weeks left in the entire session and a couple of really big things that have yet to get done, things that Republicans keep telling us they're going to do. Will they get it done? We talked with State Senator Nick Schroer about that on Monday's show.
And Nick, let me start with the initiative petition reform question here. The Senate version and the House version, as I understand it, both of them one vote away. You've got the House version back in the Senate. They've got the Senate version in the House. So without trying to get too wonky with the procedure, basically Republicans have to decide which one, if either of them, is going to go onto the ballot. What's the status of that, and what does that discussion look like? Because I think everybody likes the House version best because it has the only citizens can vote type of stuff that goes with it, whereas the Senate version did not. That was stripped out by some of the, Republicans. I'll use that term. But where is that discussion right now? I mean, do we have a dueling face-off of initiative petition reform bills right now?
Well, not necessarily. I think the House version that came over with all the good pieces on preventing any illegal immigrants from voting in elections in the future or now, that does have a poison pill in it. And when you have somebody like me who actually reads these bills, it gets down into the meat of this bill. There is a reverse severance clause in there that would say, we've got in Section 100 in our statutes a severance clause that says if any portion of this bill or portion of this law goes into effect is unconstitutional, the courts can strip that unconstitutional piece out and keep the rest of it in there. What was put on in the House, and a lot of members didn't even see it. They don't even know who put this on as a substitute in the committee process early on in the House, does the exact opposite. If anything in this bill or in this initiative petition would be unconstitutional, the court would have to throw the entire thing out, no matter how small. It could have even been a missed comma. So we're not going with that one. The House ended up putting all of those good provisions that spineless Republicans, so-called Republicans, took out of the Senate version, put it back in there, sent it back to us last week. So we have a great package in front of us, which is the Senate version that includes the non-citizen voting. But ultimately, you're right. I mean, if we don't stop these out-of-state billionaires that are woke, that are far left, from injecting their policies into our Constitution, we might as well move to California. Just have no beaches.
Morning, Nick. Actually, just to clarify what you were saying there. So the revised Senate version is the one we want to go with. That's the one we want to pressure our lawmakers to sign?
That's correct, and it is back in the Senate right now. I know there's some talk early on. There was talk that the Democrats were going to filibuster until this thing dies. Mary Elizabeth Coleman indicated she's going to try to get this thing, the nuclear option, so to speak, the previous question where you just shut down the debate and take a vote. And I think ultimately we're probably going to have to do that. And ultimately, if we did it this week, then the Democrats would be the ones filibustering provisions that they love. They're getting a sweetheart deal with another bloated budget that the Senate's going to produce this week. It's insane that we continue spending despite the fact that us families and business owners have to tighten our own belts because of the cost of everything going up. So ultimately, I think we should bring this IP bill back up. I think it has been the number one priority for the Republican Party for several years now. We've seen this coming. We've seen it happen with Medicaid expansion, with so-called Clean Missouri, and the list goes on. We've got bingo. Bingo is in our Constitution. Marijuana is in our Constitution. So we need to take a stand and protect our Constitution. So I would say let's bring the initiative petition back up. If the Democrats are going to filibuster, then they're going to prevent us taking a vote on the FRA, the Federal Reimbursement Allowance, which they love, and the budget.
Purely from your gut, from your feel of what's going on there, what's the over-under that we actually get this thing?
I'd say as of right now, there's about a 75% chance. There's a 75% chance that this thing actually gets brought back up. And at that point, if it gets brought back up, from the individuals that I've spoken with, and, in the Senate, people will go back on their word. But as of right now, a lot of people have been telling me if this thing gets brought back up and the Democrats don't want to play nice and they don't want to allow this thing to go to a vote, because once we pass it, it still has to pass by a vote of the people. Then they're going to be the ones standing in the way of the so-called democracy that they always want to talk about. So there is a very good chance that it could get PQ'd, move the previous question, if the Democrats want to keep standing on their crybaby pulpit.
I'll be really blunt here, Nick. It's not the Democrats I'm worried about. It's procedural games by Republican leadership and some Republicans who want to get credit for saying, "Hey, I voted for it. What else you want from me?" But they didn't do anything to move it through the process with the clock ticking and 3 weeks left. What about some of the usual suspects or even unusual suspects within the Republican caucus? Because let's be honest, money talks. I'll just leave it at that. Look up the MEC reports for yourself, but I'm more worried about the Republicans stalling out than I am the Democrats stopping it.
Yeah, and that's going to be the ultimate. I guess the outcome is going to be what we're going to be looking at. Are they going to stand in the way and join with the Democrats to kill this thing with 3 weeks left? And that's why I'm advocating for leadership to bring this up today. We go back in today. This is ripe. It's on the calendar. It's one vote away. We don't have to go through all the procedural mumbo jumbo. It's one vote away. Do you approve what the House just put on this thing and send it to the governor? That's all we need to do. And we've seen in the past few years, there have been Republicans, there have been Democrats that in the past few weeks of session, they have stood up, thrown bombs, and made sure that we gavel out and in session on the Senate side a hell of a lot sooner than the House does. And if that happens, like it did last year, we end up with non-citizen or the ranked choice voting. That goes by the wayside. That was one vote away last year. Tax cuts were one vote away last year. So we need to bring this up and say, look, we're prioritizing the will of the people. I hear time and time again, whether it's on radio shows, going door to door, at town hall meetings, we have to do something and change the initiative petition process. We're one vote away. So call all of your senators. Don't even concentrate on the Democrats because they've told us where they are. They want to be in George Soros's pocket. So they're not wanting to change the way that we protect our Constitution. Contact your Republicans. Demand that this thing gets voted on this week or all hell is going to break loose.
Nick, earlier you mentioned the spending issues that we have going through legislature right now. So where are we on that in terms of what, I mean, it sounds like the budget is going to be a bloated mess, but where are we in terms of tax relief or anything like that? Is that still possible this session?
Well, I will say, if anybody missed Stand and Fight last night, they can go back. It airs every Sunday, 6 to 8 p.m. But go to Rumble, go to X, go to Facebook, News Talk, find out the good, the bad, and the maybe ugly. And that was part of it. You know, the bad part is the big provisions that we all think about, like getting rid of income tax. That was a bill of mine. Getting rid of personal property tax. That was a bill of Bill Eigels. Those things, because of leadership, because of the factions within the Republican Party, like it's high school, those big bills have been killed, ultimately, with 3 weeks left to go. There are some provisions that are out there that would cap, certain taxes for seniors, start phasing out personal property tax, but they're still moving through the process slowly with no guarantee that they're going to get approved by the House. So I don't have the bill numbers on me right now. I know State Senator Travis Fitzwater had one. I think Tony Lutkemeyer had another one, but they're very incremental changes. And, you know, you've seen what I've done with the heartbeat bill a couple of years ago. We go for the whole shebang. We go for the Hail Mary because people are hurting right now. We need tax relief. Unfortunately, with this leadership group standing in the way, it's not going to be this year.
We're visiting with State Senator Nick Schroer. Just a minute or so left here, Nick. Let me ask you, switch topics here, about 300 arrests made on college campuses around the country, and about a third of those were in St. Louis. Over 100 pro-Hamas protesters, pro-Palestine, anti-Israeli protesters happening. A lot of elected officials, Democratic elected officials, cheering them on, angry that the police responded and evicted them from trespassing on private property. What's your take on this now coming to St. Louis? We knew there was going to be something eventually, but I didn't expect 100 arrests out of this whole thing. So what's your take on this? And particularly a bunch of elected politicians deciding to get involved in locking arms literally with those people who are supporting Hamas, literally.
Well, I think if there was ever a deterrent of needing a 4-year college degree, especially from these big Ivy League institutions, this would be it. You know, saying that you're sending your kids spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to see them become, locking arm in arm with people chanting death to America, like we saw, I think it was in Dearborn, Michigan, death to America on college campuses, death to America, with all of these individuals claiming that Republicans are the ones that are bad, that Israel is the ones that are bad. And, you know, last night I played a clip from Ron Paul that was from 2001. And he illustrates my position on this entire mess, all of this spending, all of these wars going on. And it sounds a hell of a lot like the MAGA movement. Look, we don't want to get involved in wars. We don't want to, get involved in these fights that we're going to be spending millions and billions of dollars on. And back in 2001, he was saying the exact same thing that's happening today. We're funding two sides of a war, sending our boys and girls over to harm's way, and we're getting nothing out of it. And we're not even protecting our own border. We need to start prioritizing our country, our people. And I don't understand why it's so hard for these college students to understand that. Maybe it's because they're getting a free North Face pop-up tent, to match all of their friends. But it's clear from looking at a lot of these videos that have, I don't know if it's Daily Wire or the Daily Caller or whoever it is that's been doing these interviews at these protests. But a lot of these kids, I'd say the vast majority of these kids, have no stinking clue what they're debating, what they're standing in the way of. And they're asking their friends. They're all wearing their masks. They all have their banners that have been given to them, probably by a George Soros, 501c3 or whatever the hell it is. But, this just goes to show the rot of America is starting at college campuses. And it's sad. Mike Rowe has a new statistic that Gen Z has been polled on the importance of a 4-year college degree. This used to be a top 3 issue. Out of 50 issues, top 3 issue used to be. Now it's 47 out of 50. People are waking up.
First morning news dump of the day comes your way here in about 2 minutes and 26 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. analysis, opinion.
I've got something to say and I can't hold it any longer.
101.9 and 94.1.
You won't hear the truth anywhere but here. News Talk STL.
News Talk STL.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
The Vic Porcelli Show. The bee or not the bee?
According to a study, female frogs fake their deaths to avoid having sex.
But I don't think it was the bee. I'm going to say not the bee.
That's not the bee. That's actually true. Female frogs, just like human women, fake their own deaths just to avoid having sex.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Everyone loves a champion, someone whose performance puts them head and shoulders above the rest. But not all champions wear a medal or hoist a trophy. At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, we see champions everywhere we look. In every sport, on every court, we're building a foundation to ensure all athletes are safe, supported, and strengthened. We believe abuse can be prevented by taking a hard look at how we coach, how we train, and how we interact after the last whistle. We have provided over 2 million safe sport trainings. At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, ending abuse is not just our job. It's our promise.
The Democrat Party is going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Kira Davis, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. You know, they got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
You know, it turns out that Megan Green's suspension from Washington University isn't just because she participated in the pro-Hamas protest.
Oh, there's more to the story.
There's more to the story.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a basic update here in a second, but right around 6:20, we're going to go into more depth on this. There's just more to it that's a little more interesting. Also, where will the next smelly tarp tent be set up by a crazy couple in St. Louis?
Hopefully not next to our house.
No, they're back. And a woman's complaint that she can't get a job is all over the internet. Is the new oppressed class, Stell?
Oh, no.
Yeah, that none of us in this room are a part of. I will tell you why here in a little bit. All right, it's 5:53. I'm Mike Ferguson. That's Stell Ponticus. And I'll tell you, I'm in a little bit of a weird mood today, so it's going to be one of those shows just to let everybody know.
This is a good way to start it right here.
Oh, yeah. All right. Speaking of weird, St. Louis Board of Aldermen President Megan Green still complaining about WashU's decision to not tolerate pro-Hamas protesters, including her, on their campus over the weekend.
I've been to a lot of protests over my 20 years, and this was one of the most brutal responses that I've seen.
Oh, yeah, so brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, who are the injuries? 3 police officers. Those are the ones who were hurt. So she has been suspended. She's an adjunct professor at WashU, and she's been put on administrative leave because of her role in the protest, but because of something that she did during her role in the protest, which I'm going to explain in more depth around 6:20. And by the way, of course, that protest became violent and resulted in over 100 arrests. We're getting word now that there is another pro-Hamas / Palestinian action that is in the works for this week here in St. Louis. This time, it may involve SLU's campus, so we will know more about that. But it looks like Wednesday, it looks like tomorrow something is planned or is being planned, and SLU isn't saying much right now.
I've been waiting for it.
Yeah, we know something like that's gonna happen. All right, when it comes to these protests, which by the way, did you see what's going on in Austin, Texas?
No,
University of Texas. I mean, it's like full on riot gear. Flashbang grenades, pepper spray, the whole, I mean, it's getting way out of hand, because the children decide they don't want to be told what to do and they don't want to have any consequences for their actions. So it's getting really ugly there. Listen, kids, you want to pick a fight with the man? I wouldn't do it in Texas.
No. That's a huge campus.
A very big campus.
Maybe the biggest
Yeah.
state school in the country. I'm not sure,
Oh,
but it's huge.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, I always thought that was UCLA, but
or Ohio State or
Ohio
somebody.
State. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. Yeah, but it's really ugly down there. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre being asked on Monday about all of the universities and colleges penalizing students on campus for all of these protests. Here's what she had to say.
It is up to their leadership, university leadership and colleges, to make that decision. Not going to weigh in on that from here. We're going to continue to say all Americans have the right to peacefully protest. At the same time, we have to call out any hateful rhetoric that we hear. Anti-Semitism is wrong.
I actually don't have any problem with what she just said there. It is the university's decisions. Of course, at some point, Congress may say, hey, by the way, we're funding you to the tune of millions of dollars, so get your act together. But as far as her saying, people have a right to peacefully protest, but we also have the right to call out bigotry like anti-Semitism. So every once in a while, even she gets it right.
I'm actually shocked.
Yeah. All right, a little bit closer to home here. The investigation into Missouri Speaker of the House Dean Plocher is over. This has been going on for quite a while. The House Ethics Committee voted to drop the inquiry on Monday. The committee was looking into accusations of him pushing a software contract with the state outside of the normal bidding process. That was about an $800,000 contract. They also were looking into accusations that he tried to intimidate whistleblowers and that he misreported some expenses, and that is now dropped. So there's no conviction or recommendations or anything. 7-2 vote. They said it's over. The Sudanese couple who set up a camp on the street in South City for years is back out on the street. Last week, city officials tore down the smelly encampment and tried to move them to housing that was offered to them for free. Now the couple has been spotted roaming around that part of town again. City officials say they are, again, refusing any help.
I hate to say it, but I suspect that something like this might happen.
Yeah,
sadly.
I think so. That's what the history has been with them for 8 years now, 9 years, something like that. So a little bit later on today, I'm just going to ask the question, at what point is it okay for sympathy to run out? All right, Cardinals got an unexpected day off on Monday as their game with the Tigers was rained out, so they're going to play a doubleheader today at 2:40. This is going to be a traditional doubleheader.
Back-to-back games?
Back-to-back games of 9 innings. Kyle Gibson gets the start for the Redbirds. He will be up against former Cardinal Jack Flaherty. One of the best decisions the Cardinals made in the last couple of years, getting rid of Jack Flaherty.
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
They always have great conversation.
News, analysis, and opinion.
It's a big case for the prosecution.
Trump faces 34 felony counts of falsifying business records.
For legal expense, I got indicted for that.
Is how to chant death to America.
They exist, they feel empowered, they feel emboldened because of the way Joe Biden has handled this situation.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. That's 800-797-0711.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The FBI is investigating what turned into a deadly day for law enforcement in North Carolina. Another instance of what the Fraternal Order of Police calls a war on cops in this country.
Monday's tragic day here in Charlotte has now left 4 law enforcement officials dead in the line of duty, including a U.S. Marshal. A Charlotte-Mecklenburg police officer died in a local hospital Monday evening here after being critically wounded by a high-powered rifle in the hands of a felon. 4 additional law enforcement officials were also wounded in Monday's shootout. This all happened when the U.S. Marshals Task Force was attempting to serve a warrant. The felon who shot the law enforcement officials was himself shot and killed by police and U.S. Marshals. Jim Kress, Charlotte.
Escalating their anti-Israel uprising, protesters have now taken over an academic building on the campus of New York's Columbia University. They barricaded themselves inside Hamilton Hall early this morning. Already surging in the polls, former President Trump's re-election bid could be about to get another shot of adrenaline. Mr. Trump has met privately with popular Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
The Trump-DeSantis rivalry during the GOP presidential primary featured name-calling and insults. But the two men are trying to patch things up, and it started with a 3-hour meeting over the weekend. According to people familiar with the discussion, the former president and Florida governor are working on plans for joint fundraising efforts in the general election. Greg Clugston, Washington.
It's back to court this morning for former President Trump. His criminal trial resumes in New York. Banker Gary Farrow scheduled to take the stand again. He helped open an account that was used to fund a non-disclosure agreement. It's at the heart of the case. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures now 1 point higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten.
Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning fog makes way for a lot of sunshine today. This turns out to be a dry and warmer day. Highs jumping into the low 80s this afternoon. A light south wind developing. Tonight, scattered showers, a few rumbles of thunder possible. This looks like a quick hit here. Nothing too intense or long lasting. Down to about 63 for the overnight low. Wednesday trends even warmer with highs in the middle 80s tomorrow. Mainly dry, but there is a low rain chance in the evening. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, at what point is it okay for sympathy to run out for those who are clearly in need of help? I mean, a serious question here. Okay, people who need help, but they're offered help, and they won't take help, but they really, really, really need the help.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about that crazy couple that's wandering around South City right now.
I thought we'd hear about them again.
Yeah, that didn't take long. All right, 6:05 right now. Gabe's here and Stell's here. I'm Mike. By the way, it looks like there might be more to the story when it comes to St. Louis Board of Aldermen President Megan Green being suspended from Washington University. More to the story.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it at 6:20. I found this very, very interesting because the letter from the chancellor telling her of her administrative leave, which is paid, by the way, which is interesting for an adjunct professor, but the letter has been published, and it turns out it's not just because she was part of the pro-Hamas protest. It was for what she did, allegedly, during said protest. So 6:20. This is interesting. Really curious how people are going to react to that. By the way, that Sudanese couple that took over and bathed in and pooped in and lived on a South City intersection for years, they're back.
Okay.
Yeah, they're back on the street after refusing help again.
Okay, so where's the shanty going?
Well, that's the thing is there isn't a shanty up yet. But for instance, one of the TV stations spotted them literally just off Gravois, just like literally blocks from where they tore down that encampment that they had set up and was allowed to be there for 3 freaking years.
It's so crazy,
so insane here. So the city now says, well, we tore down their stuff. We took them, somewhere, and we've offered them free housing, which means taxpayers were going to be put on the hook to pay for them to stay somewhere. Basically, taxpayers were going to be paid. We're going to be paying, I should say, to have them somewhere where they would stay out of people's way. And they've said no. They've left, and they put all their stuff on like this wheelchair that they're we've all seen them.
Yeah,
that they're pushing around. And they're roaming the streets in South City again. The city goes, well, they won't take the help. Nothing we can do about it.
See, and my immediate response is, there are places where there's taxpayer, housing and food, and it's called prison.
Well, I mean,
we have those too.
They violated codes, but what laws, what criminal acts have they done?
Yeah, I know.
Details, Gabe.
I know. But in the grand scheme, yes, absolutely. And you're asking the question, when does the compassion run out? Because it's one thing to say, hey, oh my gosh, you're in a tough spot. Hey, let me offer you some help. We have benevolence ministries at various churches, various private organizations all over the country who are dedicated to finding people who are in need, getting them rehab and mental health things, and getting them set up to with skills so they can actually do some work, have the dignity of work, and then be able to move into a place of their own eventually. The St. Patrick's Center is one of those places that they have a process and they take people through those, but they also have rules about their process. And if you don't follow the process, you get kicked off the program. So then what do we do with those people?
Right.
What do we do with the people who say, no, I don't want to go to rehab. I don't want to get mental health help. I don't even want the free stuff that you're offering, which is wild to me.
Right. So you clearly have obviously mentally ill something going on here. But I think at this point, sympathy, empathy it's okay for it to have run out completely run out.
Yeah.
Because even though you're nuts, there's no possible way anybody cannot see that they are creating a problem for other people. Now, you want to roam up and down the streets and just keep on the move all day? Well, whatever. That's your choice.
I guess.
You can do that as long as you're not messing with anybody else. The problem is when you start setting something up that you're creating a problem for somebody else. So my hope is that the city and all of the neighborhoods in South City have learned a lesson from what happened in Chippewa in spring, is that the second they stop and start to drape one thing over a shopping cart or something, you get out there and yank that thing down.
Yes, absolutely. Do not let them set up shop, put down quote unquote roots, because it'll be harder and harder to yank them out.
Right, and so that's every neighborhood probably like, oh crap, keep them out of here.
They're bracing.
Keep them out of here. And if they try to go back to the same neighborhood, I mean, what are the people they're going to do? Just call City Hall again? They're back. They're setting it up. Do something. No, you get out there and you get out. Go.
Yeah, there it is.
It's at some point, it's okay to say, you've exhausted our patience. Yeah. We don't care that you've got problems anymore. We cared before. We don't care now. Now we are more important to us than you are.
So now I'm going to bring up my constantly evolving but ever-present idea of making certain things mandatory. Just, mandatory rehab, mandatory psychological treatment. Basically, people being put into the care of the state, like we used to have. We used to have these sanitariums, right? That was back in I think Reagan kind of disbanded that whole thing.
I think he may have finished them off, but they were on the way. After the Rose Kennedy thing, people were ready to move on.
They were on the decline mainly because they were so horribly abused and abusive. That system. But we need we do actually need, I think maybe went out with the bathwater on that one. We need some place to put people who are this resistant to just living in society with the rest of us.
We used to have one in South City on Arsenal back in the day. The building is still there. I think it's condos now and apartments.
The developers come in, they renovate stuff, and it's cool. But
there's one downtown. It's called City Hall. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
But you get they'll be here all day, folks. But you get what I'm saying is we don't have a homeless problem because of poverty. You know what I mean? Is necessarily not to the extent that we currently have it. The increase in homelessness around the country is directly tied to drug addiction and mental health.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely.
So why don't we do something about that? It's like, what? You have no choice now. We've been here 7 times. We've offered you free help. We've offered you the ability to voluntarily join the XYZ thing. Now you have to go. Here are the cuffs. Here's the straitjacket.
Yeah, you had to get a court order for something like that. But basically, the line has been: are you a threat to yourself or somebody else? Are you a danger to yourself or somebody else?
Yes.
Yeah, and in this case, 3 years they were clearly being a danger to somebody else because of the sanitary and unhygienic conditions or unsanitary conditions.
Yeah.
Man. All right, moving on here. George Santos, remember him?
Why do we have to talk about him again?
Oh, boy.
He's come back around like a bad
penny. He really wants attention, guys. It was funny a little bit ago, right before the show started. I'm like, hey, Stell, guess what? We can talk about George Santos. And he was less than enthused about this.
Less than enthused.
His eyes are still rolling.
So, George Santos. Oh, if you think your eyes were rolling just at that, wait till you hear what he's doing now. You remember, have you seen this Cameo? This thing.
The thing where
you can pay somewhat famous people, different levels of famous people to send you a greeting or send somebody else a greeting.
Do stuff.
So he's on Cameo now.
Okay, so you can hire he's offering his services.
He is.
He's a hired gun.
For the low price of $350.
Oh, wow.
He will do a video greeting to you or somebody else in his drag queen persona named Kitara.
He has a drag queen persona.
Yeah, he used to do drag.
I didn't remember that. I knew. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So apparently he's Kitara Rivachi is his drag alter ego.
Oh man.
And he says, for a limited time
only, folks.
Quoting here, I've decided to bring Kitara out of the closet after 18 years.
18 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's why I hadn't heard about it.
Yeah. So he says that he is going to split the money. I mean, he makes some. Apparently on Cameo, he's like making more than he was actually making as a Congress critter.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to split the proceeds, I guess, with himself and the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, and also to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. So if you got somebody who really, really, really hates George Santos and you can spare $350, as much as I hate to say this, it might be worth it to have George Santos in drag send somebody a greeting just as a prank, especially if they really hate George Santos.
Oh, yeah, I remember Katari from an old spaghetti western.
There you go.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man. I mean, it's funny because I used to see those ads for Cameo all the time. And some of the people on there was like, I'm like, well, that would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Johnny Bench was on there.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I think Dean Cain's on there.
Dean Cain was on there. Then there's a
90s
whole
Superman.
bunch of like, B-list actors that nobody's ever heard of because they were in one thing on Sci-Fi Channel or something like that. Well, maybe you probably knew who they are. But
that's the C-list, buddy.
The C-list, that's right. But at this point, this tells me that George Santos recognizes he's never going to be elected to office again.
Hey, there we go. Yes,
so
that's right.
Become the next Cato Kalin and find ways to capitalize on your infamy.
Yeah, it's couch search while you can.
Right, precisely. Oh, my goodness. So, of course, he was booted out. Now, this also actually goes to show that when the Republicans led the effort to boot him out of Congress, even though they had a very, very small majority, and he was basically a party line vote guy.
Yeah, he was. He's a reliable vote.
Yeah, he really was. That still turns out because, there was a lot of fraud that they discovered and, all kinds of stuff. I have mixed feelings because I think for the integrity of the body, it was a good thing to boot him out. I also think that, them basically saying we're going to make sure you don't get reelected would have been an acceptable tactic as well. But if they'd done that aspect of it, then how would we have seen Kitara again?
Hello, Kitara.
Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. And if you're going to go on Cameo and send me a greeting, please don't make it George Santos.
Oh, man.
Make it Johnny Bench, but not George Santos. All right.
It's like the candygrams from back in the day.
That's right. That's right.
Singlegrams.
Oh, I used to work with a guy who was in a barbershop quartet, and they would go around and do the singing grams.
Oh, wow.
They were very, very, very good.
Okay, that's fun.
Every once in a while, like a lady at my workplace would have a Valentine's Day singing thing sent to her from her husband, Fun stuff, but they were not in drag, just to point out. They weren't.
Are those long gone? Those singing?
I saw one about 10 years ago.
Okay.
I imagine they've moved on to do things like produce, YouTube content or something like that, or
That
maybe
makes
be
sense.
on Cameo.
Yeah.
So now it's just a digital, singogram instead of the one coming. They moved on from snail mail to email.
That's it. That's it. All right. Megan Green, president of the St. Louis Board of Aldermen, she is complaining because the police got mean with the students who became violent and the activists. Only about a quarter of those arrests were Washington University students. These were a lot of piped-in activists and protesters.
Oh, yeah.
And she's complaining that she got suspended for being part of the pro-Hamas protest. Turns out there's more to the story.
Okay.
I'll tell you what that is around 6:20.
False impressions, well, baby, they will last forever. Stop it right now!
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Indifferent. Stop it right now!
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your kissing hour. Get up. Attention.
Attention, City of St. Louis. Ready to reclaim your greatness? Join us for an evening with a champion of law and order, Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Awarded 2 Bronze Stars and having commanded over 300 troops on the front lines of Iraq, A.G. Bailey is the leader now fighting for our city. Have a question for A.G. Bailey? Get it answered straight from him this Thursday, May 2nd at 7 p.m. Visit stlouisrepublicans.com for more details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Are you fed up with paying too much for lightning-fast doctor visits with too little information? Well, I was too, and decided to create an alternative. Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler here, asking you to take a look at no copay, no deductible visits with me and my team. That's Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Let's face it, the system's broken. No respect for your money or your time. So learn about a better way for your primary care. Schedule your discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com, shepherding you to medical freedom.
Man, what a great party you're throwing here. This wasp nest is great.
Yeah, man, we got about 70 wasps in here.
Too bad we can't fit any more wasps in here. It looks like they're having fun outside, stinging all the kids. Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, another pro-Hamas protest or action of some sort. We are being told being planned in St. Louis that could happen tomorrow. In the meantime, a St. Louis politician is dealing with the consequences of supporting the actions that turned violent over the weekend, but there's more to the story than what she's claiming.
Okay.
On this.
All right, I need to know more.
6:21 right now. I'm Mike. That's Gabe. That's Stell. By the way, we're now hearing rumblings that and the rumblings that we heard last week about Wash U turned out to be correct. The rumblings that we're hearing right now, and a couple places have reported it, is that there's something brewing for SLU's campus on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see how that turns out.
Not surprised at all.
Nope, not in the least bit.
Although I got to say, Gabe, winter finals coming up.
Yeah.
Got to be kind of soon.
Yeah.
It's April. Yeah,
within a couple weeks.
Probably next week.
Yeah, next week or two. Because Rachel, my wife, she's in the midst of launching the finals for her class that she teaches at. Mm-hmm. Okay, remember the days of supply chain problems? Remember all those days?
Oh, yeah.
All the shutdowns and everything. Turns out that there were backlogs that happened. Could we be heading back to those because of one state's insane leftism? Maybe. Find out why and how it could or will affect you. That's going to be at 6:35. Okay, I'm going to give credit where credit is due, and we kind of touched on this yesterday, guys. Washington University's leadership just kind of lays it down the line. You will not do that here. You know, the message from the university, they put out a statement saying, we see what's happening in other campuses. We will not allow that to happen here.
Right.
And that's why they responded the way that they responded. And, you know, you've got all of the far left, fringe left, anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, pro-terrorism sympathizing protesters who like to talk really tough and lock arms, and their response so far has been, but they were mean to us.
It's kind of amazing.
That was an authoritarian response.
We're going to bring the revolution. Oh, no, they're being mean.
Yeah, really. You're in the way of my revolution. Mom, Dad.
I want to do a revolution.
Good for them, for the university, but also I want to point out, while I'm saying, hey, good for them, they responded the right way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this is because of the culture that Wash U has fostered for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
The far left culture that they have embraced, that they have planted, that they have grown, came back to bite them in the butt last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So that's part of the problem, is it's of your own making.
You did this. You put their nose in it. Look what you did.
But having said that, there's more to the story when it comes to Board of Alderman President Megan Green's suspension. Turns out she's an adjunct teacher there.
Aha.
And I actually did see what she's teaching, and I'll get to that here in a second. But when you look at actually first though, let me play a clip from KMOV's story. John Kipper did a story yesterday on the fallout of the so-called protest and the action and the police response and WashU's decisions. And they interviewed Megan Green, who basically tried to play the victim and say this was an authoritarian response. I've never seen anything like this. So here's part of that story from Channel 4.
So a lot of folks didn't leave because they were students, they were faculty, they were alumni who all said, hey, I have an affiliation to this university and so I can be here.
Green also says even though WashU is private, they should have done what some other universities have done, such as Wesleyan University in Connecticut, and allow an encampment so long as it does not become violent or put students in danger.
We're seeing several universities right now who are adopting that model and using it as a teachable moment and a learning, a place for learning.
You know what was a teachable moment? When they locked arms and thought they were going to stand against the trained police officers.
Right.
That's the teachable moment. It's like, hey kids, you can't do this.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't like it, we're going to make you.
We set a line. We counted to 3, and now we came and got you. That's for some reason, these kids, I guess, never got told no by their parents, never got left screaming in the aisle. Have any of you, either of you guys, been the screaming child who was left somewhere?
I have seen that.
Okay,
but it was never me. I knew better.
Yeah,
trust me, I knew better.
Yeah,
I was a screaming child who got pulled out of the car because I wouldn't get out of the car.
So the threat of don't make me pull this car over was actually executed.
It was. We pulled up in front of Marshall Fields in downtown Chicago. My aunt and my mom wanted to go shopping. I'm in the back seat. I didn't want to go in. I was 6 years old, maybe 7, and my mom was really miffed. And I remember she pulled me out of the car, and I'm screaming and everything on State Street in downtown Chicago.
Yep, and that was the last time you did that, isn't it?
It might have been.
See, that's the problem. None of these kids, when they were 6 or 7 years old, got pulled over and set out on the side of the road. It's like, I'm gonna leave you here if you don't shut the heck up.
You're taking the train back home.
By the way, Megan Green teaches domestic, social, and economic development at the Brown School. Isn't the Brown School the social justice school?
I think it is.
Yeah. So that's what she teaches as an adjunct. And by the way, adjuncts are disposable at any college.
They are non-contract professors.
So here's the thing: is the office of the chancellor sent Megan Green her notice that she's been put on administrative leave, and this was published. So I'm looking at the letter itself. Here's the first paragraph. Let me just read it word for word. Dear Dr. Green, we have been informed you were part of a group that participated in setting up an encampment on the Danforth campus on Tisch Park on April 7th, 2024. And during that activity, you used your campus card access to allow unauthorized persons onto campus buildings against the explicit orders of Washington University Police Department.
Aha!
These are very concerning allegations that, if true, compromised the safety of the campus community while the university further investigates these concerns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
People with card access doors and things like that on their facilities, whether it's a private business or a private university or things like that, they take that whole, that whole thing very, very seriously.
Right.
There's no tailgating when it comes to card access areas. You're not allowed to use your card to let other people into the facility. So yeah, that's a big no-no.
That's a huge no-no. Not just because police, were saying you're not in there. If you're affiliated with the university, you've got a card to get to where you need to go.
You can do it yourself.
So the accusation, I'm stressing the accusation, is that she abused her access as an adjunct faculty member to allow some of these participants into places they were not allowed to go. So this isn't about her. And she, earlier in that KMOV story, she goes, this was the most authoritarian response I've ever, that kind of stuff. Okay, well, you were subversive in this. That's what you're being accused of. So this is a matter of, no. It wasn't just that you protested against the Jewish people, against the state of Israel, the Jewish state. It wasn't just that you were pro-Hamas. It wasn't just that you're anti-Boeing or whatever it is that you are. Now they're saying not only did you participate, because I don't think they would have suspended her for that.
No, not necessarily.
But the fact that you are accused of letting in some of these people into areas that they weren't to go, of course that compromises safety. You've got, pro-Hamas chanting going on. All over the country, you've got Jewish students being accosted, followed home, attacked.
Prevented from going to classes and all kinds of things.
And she's accused of letting people into secured areas they shouldn't have been. If that's true, then the entire conversation about her shouldn't be, well, she was suspended because she participated in a protest.
It's definitely not that. I mean, if you get key card access to places, there are usually rules that you sign on to. And they're usually, especially as an employee of any level, and there are usually consequences associated with the proper use of that card. And I guarantee you, there's a paper that she signed somewhere that says I will not X, Y, and Z, and she did X, Y, and Z.
Well, and also at the time, right there at the time, the police were like, no, nobody's in there, and she's like, oh yeah, they are, because that's the thing. And Stella and I were talking about this morning. I don't understand the mindset of these people on the far left. I really don't. I do not understand the mindset that says I get to do whatever I want, regardless of the danger or the problems I create for other people, even on their private property.
Yeah. The entitlement is I think something that we're not used to. I guess honestly it kind of probably goes back to the way we were raised. I mean, again, it's kind of the way we were raised. Like, we respect the authority of people who own stuff. You know what I mean? Because, hey, this is mine. I get to say who does what and does what there, because we all had a dad who said, this is my house and I make the rules, and we acknowledge that.
But private property is a foundation of a free society.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, for people saying they violated their First Amendment rights. No, they didn't.
You have no First Amendment rights on private property.
Right. Now, again, I said this yesterday. It's a university. It's a part of the academy.
They should do certain things.
They should allow people to protest and say even gross, disgusting stuff. But that's not why they acted. They weren't acting because there was a protest.
Right.
They were acting because they spread out the tents and decided they were going to occupy somebody's private property.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you're a campus, you set up dorms, right?
Right.
This is where people sleep. This is not only where people sleep, where you sleep. All the people who have access to this campus. Now, you're going to set up a tent in a common area?
Yeah.
And I don't want that.
And a lot of those are probably not even students as well. They're probably some of these piped in Soros funded.
There's the other half of it there too, because you said only a quarter of the arrests were students.
Or faculty.
So I mean, if we're just going to kind of spread that statistic like peanut butter over the numbers of people who were out there, 3/4 of the squatters were people who shouldn't have access to the campus to begin with.
I'm looking at a live stream right now of a University of North Carolina. There's now another one of these pro-Hamas protests.
Oh, Chapel Hill is
Chapel.
horrible.
You know what we're seeing around the country? Is once again masks have made a comeback.
Oh yeah, it's kind of amazing.
Suddenly they've made a comeback on this because these children don't want to be identified as much as they can, and we saw that at the Wash U one as well. They're not suddenly afraid of COVID again.
No,
you know,
they haven't been wearing a mask for a year and a half, so.
And they're wearing these stupid
keffiyehs,
whatever.
I think that's what those are called.
It's
the Palestinian solidarity head wraps.
Yeah,
is basically what they are.
It's like the Islamic head wrap by the bunch of white rich kids.
Oh, of course,
all over the country,
Yeah.
which is why I say it's a stupid thing, because they're doing it as virtue signaling.
The ones they have are made of cashmere. So, I'm sorry.
So early, 2020, 2021, 2022, the mask was the symbol of fear and cowardice. It is again.
Still.
All right. Are supply chains at risk because of left-wing policy in one state that could affect us all? Possibly. Let's find out more about that around 6:35 here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Columbo and Katie.
College officials finally decided it was time to put a stop to anti-Semitic protests on campuses across the country, causing tensions to soar. We'll update you Tuesday. Plus, Crane Durham is back in studio with us at 2:20.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning fog makes way for a lot of sunshine today. This turns out to be a dry and warmer day. Highs jumping into the low 80s this afternoon. A light south wind developing. Tonight, scattered showers, a few rumbles of thunder possible. This looks like a quick hit here. Nothing too intense or long lasting. Down to about 63 for the overnight low. Wednesday trends even warmer with highs in the middle 80s tomorrow. Mainly dry, but there is a low rain chance in the evening. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
St. Louis is proud to be a baseball town and more recently a soccer town. On Friday, May 3rd, the Birds on the Bat host the Chicago White Sox. And that night, 25,000 fans 16 and older will take home a Cardinals soccer jersey presented by Purina. That's Friday, May 3rd, the Cardinals, the White Sox, and the exclusive soccer jersey giveaway. For tickets or more info, visit cardinals.com/promotion.
This is Giovanni Gallegos. Get your tickets at cardinals.com.
Calling all bobblehead collectors and animal lovers. This is one you won't want to miss. Join us at the ballpark on Saturday, May 4th, when the Cardinals host the Chicago White Sox and the 19th annual Purina Pooches in the ballpark. That day, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will receive a bobblehead of Adam Wainwright with his lovable retirement gift, his new pup Louie, courtesy of Purina. For full details, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Adam Wainwright, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Dreaming of upgrading your outdoor space? STL Fenceworks is the choice for you. Our skilled craftsmen build custom fences from modern vinyl to classic ornamental, fitting your style and budget. Elevate your outdoor living with low-maintenance decks designed to relax and entertain. We choose only top-quality American-made materials, ensuring your project is built to last. Your satisfaction is our passion. With over 50 years of experience, custom designs, and exceptional customer service, visit stlfenceworks.com today.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what isn't.
Right here.
The country is heading in the wrong direction under this president. We're suffering shortages. America's running out of everything.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Good morning to the people of St. Louis.
One of the odd things about anything related to energy in this country, in addition to the wildly, diametrically opposed viewpoints of the left and the right on energy policy, is how much weight one state has on the rest of us. If you do not live in California, for instance, you are still affected by a lot of what California regulates for a variety of reasons, which we'll get into here in just a second. I'm Mike Ferguson. I am now joined by Dr. Bonner Cohen. He's a senior policy analyst with CFACT, which we'll explain here more in just a minute. And interesting op-ed that you had in The Hill just over the past week, Bonner, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. It says U.S. freight rail supply chain now at the mercy of California's net zero emissions rule. And somebody may say, well, Bonner, why is it that California could put the supply chain and the rest of us at risk of being affected because of what they do in their state? I don't live in their state. How is that connected?
That's connected thanks to a quirk that's in the Clean Air Act that allows other states to copy, in effect, regulations that are enacted in California. They're under no obligation to do so, but they can do so if they so choose. When California comes up with something in the name of combating climate change, states such as New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Oregon, Wyoming, shall we say the usual suspects, are not only willing, but in all likelihood able to, well, not only able, but willing to copy them and impose those rules on their states. And when it comes to what California is proposing to do by mandating zero emissions locomotives only be used in California by the year 2030, there is nothing to keep other states from doing exactly the same thing. Stop and ask yourself what this would do to America's freight network, which is responsible for transporting 40% of all the goods around the country. It would ultimately result in a patchwork, whereas now we have a relatively cohesive, coherent network, freight rail network. You could find yourself suddenly having to deal with electric locomotives, which, by the way, do not exist, and we'll come to that in a minute, being mandated in California. You're moving goods from California to the east, you go to Nevada, they don't have that, so then you switch to a diesel, then you move to another state that requires electric locomotives, then another state that does not. What you have here is a recipe for chaos. Now, the California people envision all of this. We're going to have electric-powered locomotives. The locomotives that can pull freight trains, some of which are a mile long, do not exist, and there's absolutely no reason to believe they will exist by the time the new rule goes into effect in 2030. There are electric locomotives that Amtrak uses in the northeastern corner of the United States, but they pull passenger trains over relatively short distances. Freight trains going thousands of miles, well, that's a horse of a different color.
We're visiting with Bonner Cohen from CFACT. Okay, so for instance, if California says by this year, 2030, you must have essentially an electric locomotive, well, in their state, and you may say, okay, well, that's their state. They can have a dumb rule if they want, but all of these tracks go everywhere. So that would mean that if you want to ship something into California or out of California, you could be in Kansas and you'd be affected by this if that route goes through California. So what's the end result? Do we try to develop this technology, or do we just shut off California, or do we just simply raise the cost of shipping things through other means?
Well, we will undoubtedly see the cost of shipping things around the country skyrocket if this rule is allowed to go into effect. As it happens, the Environmental Protection Agency has to sign off on this. But let's bear in mind that this is the Biden administration Environmental Protection Agency, and through various press releases and other comments it has made, it has indicated that it will, in all likelihood, green light the California rule, maybe making a small number of changes here, there, and yonder, but essentially they will rubber stamp it. And if they do, then if somebody waves a magic wand and automatically the technology for these magic locomotives appears, that's one thing, but don't count on it. If they do not, then the whole matter will probably have to go to court to see if the courts are ultimately going to sign off on a scheme developed ostensibly to combat climate change, which will in fact derail, to use a proper verb, America's freight rail network and greatly raise the cost of goods transported on that network to the American people.
Just a couple of years ago, I think a lot of people started hearing the term supply chain more than they'd ever heard when we had bottlenecks around the country from things coming in on cargo ships. And now we're looking at another part of the supply chain. And so while there's a battle that you're describing over, environmental policy and emissions policy, we're actually talking about one of the arteries, so to speak, of our economy in getting the stuff we want to buy to us from the people who want to ship it to us. Is that overstated?
That's right. And the big difference between the bottlenecks that we had to deal with during the pandemic and the ones we're talking about now is this is a government-imposed bottleneck. beginning with the people in Sacramento, California, who passed this legislation, but in all likelihood to be signed off on by EPA, which means that the federal government is also a part of this, and it is also imposing the very predictable bottlenecks that this scheme will lead to.
Bonner, we've got just a couple of minutes left here. It was amazing to me when, even putting in new plumbing and some appliances and things in our house, where we had some contractors say, well, there's this rule in California, that's why we have to put this thing in. And we're saying, wait a minute, I don't live in California, but everybody has to make their things to the specifications of that state. So what is this outsized impact that California has in so many other areas? I mean, they literally told me I have to wait a couple minutes for the water to come out of my faucet and become hot because of a regulation in California.
Yeah, as I said, a lot of it goes to the Clean Air Act, which allows other states, and again, politically, it doesn't take a lot of imagination to figure out which states they are. Again, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Illinois, Washington, Oregon. They will do exactly what California does. Once you have that, you then start forcing manufacturers. Well, do I manufacture one car for California or one locomotive for California? Or do I actually, in order to be able to produce my good so that it can be sold everywhere in the United States, do I simply go along to get along, or otherwise I'm going to find myself producing all sorts of goods for different states? You have the patchwork effect, and that is something that economically makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But again, this is something that's being imposed by government.
All right, Bonner Cohen from the CPAC organization. Where do we learn more about that and what you do there?
Okay, check us out at our website, which is CFACT, CFACT.org, CFACT.org.
And that is Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow. Dr. Bonner Cohen, really appreciate the insight, because I know a lot of people have the same questions I did. So good to talk to you again.
Okay, thank you very much for having me.
All right, once again, just look up CFACT, C-F-A-C-T, to get more information about what Bonner does. And, it's just so frustrating that one ultra-left state can have that much influence and control over the rest of us. All right, 314-912-1019. Got some thoughts on that? Let's talk right here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Springtime in St. Louis means one thing. That's right. Golf is back, baby. Whether you're a beginner or a scratch golfer, you're sure to enjoy your golf experience at Sugar Creek Golf Course. Sugar Creek is a scenic and challenging course and well suited to golfers of all abilities. Located in High Ridge, just 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois. At Sugar Creek Golf Course, our courteous and professional staff has one goal: to make sure your golf experience is enjoyable. To book your tee time or to learn more about the special event and banquet facilities, simply visit sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com.
Call them at 314-752-5000. 314-752-5000. And JewelsOnHampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s New Country streaming now. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's Stifel.com. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at NewsTalkSTL.com.
I can't get these memories out of my mind.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
Okay, turns out the Megan Green's suspension from WashU isn't just because she participated in the anti-Semitic pro-Hamas protest.
It's not just that.
Not just that.
No.
That would be reason enough.
Like Paul Harvey used to say, here's the rest of the story.
Yep. And where will the next smelly tarp tent be set up by a crazy couple in St. Louis?
Now, when you said smelly tarp tent, I immediately went to the protest currently. But okay, so but yes, that one too is of
Hey,
interest.
those were brand new, like right out of like REI or something like that.
Well, that's true. The tents were brand new. The kids brought the smell with them.
Oh yeah, precisely. And a woman's complaint that she can't get a job is all over the internet. I want to talk about that. Let's do that at 7:05, I think. Because it's one of those things where there's a lot of people saying, you're discriminating against me because of this.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And?
I'm curious what people think about this one. All right. 6:50 right now. That's Gabe. That's still. I'm Mike here. Okay. St. Louis Board of Aldermen President Megan Green. And remember, this is the number 2 person in the entire city government of St. Louis. Her behavior, when you see and listen to her behavior, she's the number 2 person in the entire city government. So she's still complaining about WashU's decision to not tolerate the pro-Hamas protesters, including her, on their campus over the weekend. She had this to say to Channel 4.
I've been to a lot of protests over my 20 years, and this was one of the most brutal responses that I've seen.
So she's whining.
Yeah, that's quite the whine right there. It's one of the most brutal. If you've seen the footage, it's not. It's not.
Well, the only people who suffered anything were the police officers.
Seriously.
I mean, there maybe is some bruises and scratches by some of these protesters, some of whom are students and faculty. Others, we don't really know where they came from. We think they may have been some of those, professional protesters piped in from God knows where. We've seen those in St. Louis.
Soros.
Yeah. Well, there's now reports that Soros is funding, and some of his affiliate groups are funding, some of these, people being bussed in from wherever. I mean, there are people who literally just go around all over the country to do these far left protests, and almost all of them, somebody has connected to George Soros or one of his entities, one way or the other. So Green is an adjunct professor at WashU, and she's been put on administrative leave. Not just because of her role in the protest. I'll go in a little more depth at 7:20 rather. But that protest, remember, became violent, resulted in over 100 arrests. And it became violent not because of the police, like the far left, dingbats are arguing. It became violent because they chose to, frankly, try to take over somebody else's private property.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the thing: when you defy lawful orders by the police, they will eventually put their hands on you. If you continue to resist, those hands might get a little rough.
And honestly, they're lucky they didn't get rougher than it was.
Oh gosh, yes.
I mean, I'm looking at streams from all over the country right now where these things are popping up and growing, and you know what? We may be heading into another era of just violent clashes on college campuses.
Yeah,
like
this
60s.
is kind of a redux of what was going on in the 60s, and a little bit mixed in with the Summer of Love.
And by the way, Megan Green is also accused of using her card swipe access to campus buildings to allow people in who should not have been there, who were not authorized, did not have their own access.
Yeah.
Police say that she was allowing some of these protesters into secured areas using her card.
You can't do that. That's against the private property owners policy,
Right.
I imagine, that you signed on to, and I believe it's illegal as well to provide unauthorized access, especially when there's like legal orders for these people to go away.
Right. The police say they ordered everybody, you're not allowed to be in there. And the accusation is that she used her card access to let them in where they were told not to go. All right. More about that a little bit later on.
That could be a misdemeanor.
I hope so. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre asked at Monday's briefing about the colleges and universities penalizing the students on campus who were involved in a bunch of these protests against Israel.
It is up to their leadership, university leadership and colleges, to make that decision. Not going to weigh in on that from here. We're going to continue to say all Americans have the right to peacefully protest. At the same time, we have to call out any hateful rhetoric that we hear. Anti-Semitism is wrong.
Okay, so I actually don't have any problem with any part of that statement.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah.
It makes me feel icky.
Yeah, it is appropriate for the White House to say the university leaderships have to make those decisions and be accountable for them.
Mm-hmm.
But they also, Congress has the power of the purse. At some point, I like the fact that there are some Republicans who are saying, by the way, you want to keep this anti-Semitism going? You want to coddle these people? We'll just cut off your funding.
Yeah. Now that Congress has a role there, but the executive really doesn't.
Not really.
Unless it gets really out of hand, you got to send in the National Guard, maybe.
Well, but that's even a state decision. National Guard is run by the state.
You're right.
That's
true.
So because I've seen some Republicans in Congress like Biden needs to send in the National Guard. No,
it's like he
Posse Comitatus Act doesn't allow him to send in the military on his own people.
That's
National
true.
Guard to restore order and secure things is a state decision.
That's true. Yeah,
there's a little bit of constitutional illiteracy on both sides of the aisle out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Been a little while since we used it.
Yes.
We're rusty.
Yeah. The investigation into Missouri Speaker of the House Dean Plocher is over. The House Ethics Committee voted to drop the inquiry on Monday. The committee was looking at accusations that he pushed a software contract with the state outside of the normal bidding process, and that he tried to intimidate whistleblowers, and that he misreported some expenses. And by a 7-2 vote, that committee said, we're done. This investigation's over. They're not moving forward with any proposal for penalties or anything like that. Okay, that Sudanese couple who set up a camp on the street in South City for years.
Yes.
Back out on the street.
Our favorite shanty builders.
Oh, for crying out loud, my goodness. So remember last week, city officials tore down that really smelly encampment and then tried to move them into housing that was offered to them for free.
Yeah.
In other words, offered to them at everybody else's expense.
Yes.
Now the couple has been spotted roaming around that part of town again. City officials say that the couple is once again refusing to accept any help. And so now you got to keep an eye on them. If you see them coming to your neighborhood, keep an eye out, because if they start building stuff or putting a tarp or a blanket over some shopping carts, they're trying to build their next little shanty.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We've discussed how, mental health court orders for people who are a danger to themselves and others. And if you are choosing to live on the street rather than in government provided housing, like what would be provided to them by officials here, and food and all these other things, if you're choosing to live like an animal on the street, you are a danger to yourself.
Yeah,
you are. So I would be all for them being remanded to state custody and put in what used to be an asylum, that we used to have in this country, and them getting the treatment that they obviously need.
Yeah, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. The Cardinals got an unexpected day off on Monday as their game with the Tigers was rained out. They are going to play a doubleheader today. What they're calling, a traditional doubleheader.
Yeah, back-to-back.
Yeah, back-to-back and 9 innings.
Both 9 innings.
Yep.
Okay.
That starts at 2:40. Kyle Gibson gets the start for the Redbirds. He's going to be up against former Cardinal Jack Flaherty. I'm still glad Cardinals got rid of Jack Flaherty. What a disappointment he was.
Yeah, that was an interesting decision because he came in with so much promise.
Yep.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. On it goes. Anti-Israel protesters on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill. Meanwhile, in New York, demonstrators early this morning barricaded themselves inside Columbia University's Hamilton Hall. And now Columbia is limiting campus access to students and essential employees only. They were there to serve a firearms possession warrant on a convicted felon when gunfire erupted at a house in Charlotte, North Carolina, and by the time it was all over, 4 law enforcement officers were dead, along with the felon who opened fire on them. A neighbor says it didn't take long to figure out that something bad was going down.
I heard the shots, and I said, okay, there's 3 shots. The second set of shots, I'm like, maybe somebody got a new gun, they're practicing. The third set of shots, I'm like, nah, something's going on.
4 officers were wounded. 2 people, a 17-year-old and a woman who were inside the house, were placed under arrest. A Hamas contingent has left Cairo with an Israeli ceasefire proposal in hand. That, according to Egypt's state-owned satellite news outlet.
The channel, which has close ties with the Egyptian security agencies, adds a Hamas delegation will return to Cairo with a written response to the ceasefire proposal, without saying when. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is expected to visit Israel on his latest trip to the region, which began Monday in Saudi Arabia. Blinken says Israel needs to do more to allow aid to enter Gaza, but that the best way to alleviate the humanitarian crisis is for the 2 sides to agree a ceasefire. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Watching Wall Street, stock futures in the red. The Dow futures down 24 points. NASDAQ futures off 27 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Hear that? The sound of your antique fountain pen gliding across linen paper as you journal in the park. And if you were here, you'd be inspired by the warm breeze. But you're not here. Because your self-care happens out on the road, riding your motorcycle protected by Progressive. And the wind in your face on the road is all the inspiration you need. So if you ride, get a quote and see if you could save with Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Now that's inspiring. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning fog makes way for a lot of sunshine today. This turns out to be a dry and warmer day. Highs jumping into the low 80s this afternoon. A light south wind developing. Tonight, scattered showers, a few rumbles of thunder possible. This looks like a quick hit here. Nothing too intense or long lasting. Down to about 63 for the overnight low. Wednesday trends even warmer with highs in the middle 80s tomorrow. Mainly dry, but there is a low rain chance in the evening. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. Take your family, take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99, and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number:
800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. That's 800-407-9204.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare ya!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin Rob.
The new suffering class of Americans, the inked class.
The
inked class.
Yes.
It's not the new suffering classes, not the blacks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the women.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
It's the inked.
The inked.
That's who we're supposed to feel bad for now.
Yes.
Okay, I knew this was going to happen at some point. Didn't we all know this was going to happen at some
Everybody called it.
Yeah. we did, because I think it's what is it? If you're under 30 or under 25,
Mm-hmm.
you're more likely to have some kind of tattoo than not.
Yeah. It blew up somewhere in there with the millennials.
Yeah, I mean, your daughter and my daughter are about the same age.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of ink.
They probably have about the same number of tattoos.
Yeah, which is a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, my daughter is inked up quite a bit. All right, I'll get to that here in just a minute. I'm really curious what people think about this. 314-912-1019. That's how you get involved in the conversation. By the way, why are the anti-Semitic protests continuing to grow? I'm looking at this news live stream. It's going from college campus to college campus to college campus. For instance, at Columbia University now, these hooligans are smashing windows. They are breaking into buildings, hanging Intifada banners on these campuses. So this is getting worse. And so once they're met with any sort of resistance, which, by the way, Columbia University said, here's your deadline to get out or else. And they called their bluff, and Columbia didn't do anything.
Yeah, see, you can't make empty threats, guys.
Texas responded, University of Texas at Austin, responded with tear gas and flashbang grenades.
Yeah, University of Florida just dragged people out.
Yeah, exactly. So we could be heading into another rough era of this sort of thing.
Yeah, here we go.
Let's talk about that at 7:20. And by the way, St. Louis Board of Aldermen President Megan Green, she's not a victim.
No, not at all.
She is not a victim. We'll explain why.
She did start the fire.
Yeah, precisely. Okay, so
Flashback Tuesday.
Yeah,
there you go. So one of the weird things, in addition, to some of these tattoos. Listen, I'm not bashing people with tattoos.
Sure.
Okay, I don't personally have any. My wife doesn't have any.
Same.
I don't have a beef with tattoos. I am not one of those who, I've had people over the years, argue they're wrong anymore. I don't think they are. I think it just matters what it is that you get.
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm not a fan. We'll say it that way. Yeah.
And so this wannabe social media personality goes online.
She's a TikToker.
Yeah, a TikToker named Ash O'Brien, and she is tatted up. As in, her whole forehead is tattooed.
Let me describe a couple of these stats, by the way, just so people can get a proper picture. Her left arm is mostly black.
Right.
This
is a white girl.
It is a white girl.
Of course, it is. She's named Ash. Of course, she's a white girl.
O'Brien.
Yeah,
but it's still it's inked up to the point of being completely black. Her skin is blacked out from her shoulder to her elbow, at least. She has, I can only describe as a demon-headed spider creature on her throat, whose tentacles or
it's like you said, a skullish demon head, and then it's
spider legs
over the top of a spider web and spider legs.
Yes, and a couple of those legs reach up over her cheeks and everything.
Right. I mean, this is literally
it's centered on her throat.
Yeah, where your middle of your throat is. I mean, so
yeah, and then on her chest, kind of peeking out from under her t-shirt she has on this stream or tank top she has on the stream is Baphomet.
Right.
Is the goat-headed demon of satanic church with the star on his head and all that good stuff. And that's in addition to various other designs and things that are on her the side of her face, on her forehead, on her other arm, and she has further ones down. And she has a big symbol on or something or other on her palm. And then that's not to mention all of the metal on her face.
Right. And the thing is and this is I'm about to say something I know is going to tick somebody off.
Okay.
If she didn't have all of those tattoos, she would be very pretty.
Yes, absolutely.
Very, very pretty.
Yes.
I don't think you have the picture there still. Here's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She ruined herself.
Because
as far as I'm concerned.
There's somebody right now with a bunch of tattoos who are saying, she's pretty now. It's not the tattoos that make somebody ugly. Well, no, this one kind of makes her ugly.
Yeah.
But anyway, here's the thing. And so she is getting millions of views on her social media because she applied for a job at TJ Maxx.
Right.
And she's 23, and she's really going to regret those tattoos someday. And in part,
she's regretting now she's regretting them now.
Well, but she's blaming TJ Maxx and
you're right.
society. So
true.
Here's part of what she put on social media.
So I wanted to come on here and talk about something that is really starting to annoy me. So I applied for a job at TJ Maxx a few weeks ago, and they denied my application. They couldn't even call me. They just sent me some automated email. So I went in today and I was like, so what was the reason I didn't get hired? And she was like, oh, you just don't have enough experience. There was candidates that had more experience than you. And, I asked her if it was about my tattoos, obviously, because I know a lot of places don't like tattoos. She said that wasn't the reason. I don't feel like that's true, but whatever, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so
yeah.
And first of all, nobody owes you the job, chick.
No,
nobody,
and nobody owes you a nicely worded rejection letter.
No.
The standard form rejection letters are standard.
That's standard because if you send anything to anybody that's different from somebody else, somebody could sue you.
Exactly.
That's why they send those.
Yeah.
And so she goes in
So
basically
impersonal, Mike.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what her complaint is.
She goes in to basically confront them like it's because of my tattoos, as though they're supposed to be on the defensive, when really what they should say is, you look like a monster.
You look weird
by your own choice, and you want to be out on a sales floor.
Yeah.
Now, so you want to work in a warehouse, or you want to work in a mechanic shop, or even some coffee shops though. Some of these would maybe
No, that could be.
Yeah, but you want to work in a different life. Listen. Actions have consequences. This is kind of the theme that we have today.
Yeah.
Is that your decisions have consequences. Listen, she's got the right to mar up her body if she wants. She's 23 years old. She can do whatever she wants on it. But I'm starting to see more people. I've actually heard people use the term, I'm being discriminated against just because of my tattoo.
And my response is yes. And I think what we in our bid to get rid of the stupid discriminations, we've forgotten that there are aspects of discrimination that are correct.
What is discrimination? How do you define connotatively? How do you define connotatively discrimination?
Categorizing things.
Right.
And our brains are categorizing machines. That's what they do. That's how we actually navigate life. Is we it's like, okay, see the dark colored snakes aren't as bad as the brightly colored snakes. They will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
This is the category of things that we can eat. This is the category of things we can't eat. This is the category of person I've had trouble with in the past. This is the category of people who make good employees. I'm sorry, that's how the brain responds to stimuli.
I define it as discrimination being something that a person can not do, experience, or be because something's different than somebody else.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess if we're talking,
I'm saying blanket
as a social construct, discrimination.
I
was thinking more of as the brain brain construct.
But I'm thinking socially.
Okay.
Discrimination is that you cannot have something or do something or be somewhere because there's something different about you than somebody who is allowed access to all that stuff.
Okay.
Would that be a fair description?
Fair.
Okay, so for instance, if you go up to a sixth grader and you say, "Hey kid, here's $10, run the grocery store and buy me a 6-pack of beer,"
right?
They can't do it.
I expect the person at the counter to discriminate against that child.
So there's what we would call a good discrimination.
Yes.
Obviously, somebody coming in saying, "No, I don't want to hang out with you because of your skin color or because of whatever."
That's a bad discrimination.
That's bad discrimination. In this case right here, this is neutral discrimination, and is it even discrimination in the term of like a legal thing or saying that you have a right to put somebody on the defensive? Because you're discriminating because of my tattoos. Okay, listen, you chose to get the tattoos. I'm not going to have you running off my customers or making them feel weird or staring literally right above your boobs at the Anton LaVey Baphomet that you got tattooed on there. Tattoos are socially accepted. That's not the issue.
To a degree.
Yeah, but I think they're socially accepted. I mean, I think that the places that don't allow them or don't want or insist they get covered up, I think those are the exception now.
Well, maybe.
I don't know. When you got a tattoo that's a satanic symbol,
you know what I mean?
That might be a trigger for a lot of people.
And face tattoos, I think, are
face
different.
Tattoos are still, though that's the next frontier.
Yes.
I just saw a commercial on TV with some big guy, I guess, who's a singer or something. He's got tattoos all over his face, and he was doing something for a charity thing. And I'm like,
Post Malone's got a
oh
ton
yeah,
of tattoos.
he's all over.
What's a Post Malone?
He's a pop artist.
He's a post '80s pop artist.
Got it. Well, then but to me, it's not even about the tattoos. It's about the entitlement that says I get to do whatever I want, and there are never any consequences for it.
Right.
You know what? I mean, I used to wear my hair really long. There were people who looked at me differently because of that.
Yeah.
Is that their fault? No, it's just the way that it was because I chose to be different.
Yeah.
Well, now, I mean, again, I'm not trying to equate that to the bad discrimination. It's just that, in this case right here, I think this is so typical of, frankly, what we're seeing a lot that says I get to choose to do whatever I want to do. And I never have to bear consequences. When you look at these, for instance, these protests, we're seeing story after story now of people saying, "Wait a minute, you can't actually file criminal charges. That's gonna follow me around for my job search. That's not fair. Sure, I'm committing crimes, but don't you know that that's not fair? That there would be consequences for that."
Right. Yeah. The consequence argument is a really big one, and I think this also speaks to this bid that young people especially have to be different, but it's such that they want to be different, but they don't want to be treated differently.
Well,
and I don't think those things necessarily go together.
I think they want to dictate how they're treated and viewed, but they want to impose that on you regardless of what they earn.
Okay.
So, for instance, I'm looking at this streaming video right now of looks like this is New York City, I think, where this is happening, or where it just happened. It's
Columbia.
Yeah, Columbia University. and they're barricading somebody in or out, probably some Jewish people or somebody from the university or for what. And all of these looks like fairly probably privileged, expensive clothes wearing white kids.
Well, they go to Columbia.
Yeah, and they're all wearing masks. But when the arrests come, because that's a violent act, they're smashing through windows, they're barricading people, they're doing all this. And at some point, you've even heard at Washington University, it's not fair, it's not right that this could haunt me. All I'm doing is being part of a protest. I'm standing up for what I believe. You're committing a crime. That's what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So where's law enforcement here? Or
Yeah.
the National Guard or anything? I know it's a democratically run city that's totally gone to pot.
There's your answer.
Okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're off elsewhere. Gosh, yeah, I would. Gosh, the tear gas would be flowing.
Hey, it is in Texas.
It is in Texas, exactly.
Yeah.
They're not playing that stuff in Texas and Florida,
right?
But yeah, I think you're right. I think this speaks to a little bit of that whole deal where the now I hate to be the guy complaining about the kids. You know what I mean? I find myself more and more often just being the old guy complaining about the kids.
Get off the lawn.
Those darn kids and their loud rock music. I mean, I don't want to be that guy. You know, I don't want to be the preacher from Footloose. You know,
That's right,
just complaining about rock and roll music and kids moving their hips wrong.
Yeah.
But at the same,
I'm all for rock and roll music and moving your hips wrong.
But the thing is like at some point you have to have some sort of fences. You have to have some sort of barriers around acceptable behavior in society. Otherwise, we're not able to live together.
Right.
And I think I'm all for challenging those boundaries on occasion.
Sure.
We need to be able to push against them, test them to make sure that they're actually doing the job that they're supposed to and they're not doing more than they're supposed to.
I am against government being used to enforce those norms.
Sure, yes.
I would be against a law that prevented her from getting the tattoo she wanted. I would be against a law requiring an employer to hire her if they don't want her.
Right.
I am absolutely in favor of social norms and social mores being enforced, though, socially.
Yeah. By us, the people.
Right. Just on a voluntary basis. And that's what she runs into. And then she goes and says, confronts them like, is it because of my tattoos? Well, the answer should be probably.
Yeah. I guarantee you somebody in her life told her that her tattoos are going to be a problem for her in the future. And she did them anyway.
Right.
And now she's running into those problems. She doesn't want to admit that she made a mistake.
Right, precisely. So, there she goes, 23 years old, and she's like, it's not fair.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, of course.
Life's not
Over
fair.
7 million views. Has more to do with her attitude than does her ink. All right, find out why Megan Green from the Board of Aldermen of St. Louis is not a victim when she's been suspended from her job at Washington University. Turns out she crossed more than just one line. I'm not just talking about the anti-Semitism and the bigotry.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Hey, it's Tuesday at 4:25. We'll speak with David Stokes from the Show Me Institute on who killed the St. Louis County headquarters. 5:05, Senator Jim Talent, and at 5:20, Dr. Randy Tobler.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Always be clear where you get your conservative talk.
The St. Louis Business Journal is now reporting that liberal billionaire George Soros is the largest shareholder of Odyssey,
the parent company of KMOX and 97.1 Talk.
Soros' maneuver raises critical questions about the future of media ownership and influence.
Money and attention is power. And when he has the money and he controls what's on the radio stations, he's going to be able to control the minds, potentially hundreds of millions of Americans.
St. Louis's trusted source and number one
for
conservative talk.
This is News Talk STL.
When you think about buying or selling a house, what you're really thinking about, you're not thinking about just the building. You are thinking about your family. At least you should be. For most people, this is the biggest financial decision you're going to make, and that's why you got to talk to my friends Rodney and Jen. Mike Ferguson here with the Wallner Home Selling Team of Berkshire Hathaway, and you've heard me talk about Rodney and Jen before many times, and you've heard me mention they're licensed in both Missouri and Missouri and Illinois. You've heard me talk about the fact that they know the market. They sell upwards of 15 times more homes than other real estate professionals. You've heard me talk about the fact that they have such a large list of qualified buyers, you might not even have to list your home. But let me tell you why you should call 314-810-SOLD to talk to Rodney and Jen. Yes, all of that is important. You talk to Rodney and Jen for just a few minutes, you're going to find out why I am so dedicated to putting them in front of you. It's because they truly care about the people they fight for, the people they work with, the people they serve. And that's how Rodney and Jen look at what they do. You can find a whole lot of people who are real estate agents. You can find a whole lot of people who are realtors. And really what that means is they're a salesperson. Their job is to sell you on their service, to look up something on the internet, try to talk you into spending as much money as possible because that affects their commission. Rodney and Jen have built a business. They have built a career. They built a livelihood based on serving others, not just through their nonprofit work that they do, but using their work to serve families and empowering families. They love doing it. I mean, when they get excited about talking about, the way they're able to help people. When you need something, you go to the professional, you go to the expert. That's Rodney and Jen. They want to get you the best dollar for dollar value possible. They have flexible commission plans. They'll work with you and meet your needs, but they're able to do this because their focus is you, not a spreadsheet, not a checking the box, not a hitting a quota. Listen, it's their business. They run it, the Wallner Home Selling Team. And when you work with them, call them today, 314-810-SOLD. Just say, hey, here's my situation. Here's what I'm thinking about doing, or here's what I'm trying to do. They'll give you their first impressions. They're not going to make you sign a contract before they give you any thoughts on that. You'll find out very quickly. These are sincere people. These are people who care about those who they serve. And that's what they do through their work. So call them today, 314-810-SOLD. You're going to find out there's a big difference. Licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. And they are there to empower you and your family.
Old man winter in the rearview mirror. Warmer weather here. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service. 636-379-1830. 24/7 at hansonstree.com. This is the perfect time to spruce up and beautify your landscape beds. When you purchase organic mulch in bulk from Hanson's, you save on price, time, and incredibly convenient. Tons of commercial and residential tree care services as well. Grinding and land clearing, plant health care, and more. 636-379-1830. hansonstree.com. hansonstree.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
If it's radical to want to continue to cut and rein in the size and scope of our ridiculously engorged government, then you call me a radical every day from Sunday. If it's radical to cut taxes, give children and parents the choice of getting a great education, then call me a radical.
Tim Jones, new radical. Vic Porcelli, live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the News Talk STL app
And listen anytime,
anywhere.
Danny Define with the Next Gen right here on Sundays at 10 p.m. Now back to a hot, steamy cup of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
As soon as you are able,
All right, Stell, this without making jokes about it, you're older than me and Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
You're of a different generation.
Mhm.
And so let me tap into that real quick. Based on what you're saying right now, are we about to go into another era of these violent college campus protests throughout America?
I'm afraid so, because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I don't want to see, it's not going to be a summer of love, sadly enough. And that wasn't love, obviously, what
Right,
happened
yeah.
back then. It's going to be a summer of hate. And
yeah.
I don't want to see that, and I want us to be praying against that. But we're on the verge of having that type of summer. I hate to say it.
Because you saw it.
Oh, yeah. Lived through it in 68.
Yeah.
And 69 and 67. I mean, there were cities like Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
L.A.
They had riots and
yes.
whatnot. Yep.
And neighborhoods were literally destroyed. I can remember the west side of Chicago when I was a kid back in '68. That area was devastated.
Yeah, and we're seeing around college campuses these things amplifying again. We'll get into that here in just a second. By the way, are you willing to stand for life? There's a chance to do that tomorrow. We're going to tell you about it at 7:35. Washington University's leadership, though, lays it out. You will not do that here. And they said that's the reason that they mobilized law enforcement and said, we're going to have this dispersed. You're not going to set up an encampment. You're just not going to do it.
Quite amazing.
Yeah, good for them. Now, keep in mind that fostering the left-wing culture that they have over all these years contributed to this. So I'm glad they're taking a stand now.
They created these monsters, though.
Right. So understand that you got yourself into this to some degree. But here's the thing. Having said all that, it looks like there's more to the story when it comes to Board of Aldermen President Megan Green being suspended from her adjunct teaching job here. And just as a reminder, Megan Green's the number 2 person in the city of St. Louis's government. There's the mayor, there's the president of the Board of Aldermen. They're elected at large, meaning throughout the city. And she's also doing this side hustle teaching over at Wash U. So she was interviewed by John Kipper, KMOV, for last night's story, where she basically spent the entire discussion talking about how authoritarian and how heavy-handed, and the university's, their response was terrible to these students and others. We don't know who the others are.
Such big meanies.
Right. And so here's part of that story from Channel 4.
So a lot of folks didn't leave because they were students, they were faculty, they were alumni who all said, hey, I have an affiliation to this university and so I can be here.
Green also says even though Wash U is private, they should have done what some other universities have done, such as Wesleyan University in Connecticut, and allow an encampment so long as it does not become violent or put students in danger.
We're seeing several universities right now who are adopting that model and using it as a teachable moment and a learning, a place for learning.
Okay, let me read to you, because I've got the letter that was sent to her from the chancellor, from the chancellor's office, to her, informing her that she is on paid administrative leave. Now she's just an adjunct, so she's not a full professor there. And adjuncts come and go at universities.
And you mentioned it's Brown, correct?
Yes.
Which is the School of Social Work.
Yeah,
at Wash U.
She teaches. Let's see here. She is teaching a night class there that is called, what is it called? It was like social development or something, social and economic development or something like it's some social justice-y type thing.
And it's a George Warren Brown School of Social Work.
Yeah.
And by the way, her political affiliation is noted here as the Democratic Socialists of America.
Oh yeah, she's affiliated with them. Yeah,
So-
she's basically a Marxist. But get this, here's the first paragraph of the letter informing her that she's suspended. I'm just going to read it word for word. This is coming from Wash U. We have been informed you were part of a group that participated in setting up an encampment on the Danforth campus on Tisch Park on April 27, 2024. And during that activity, you used your campus card access to allow unauthorized persons into campus buildings against the explicit orders of Washington University Police Department. These are very concerning allegations that, if true, compromised the safety of the campus community, while the university further investigates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
So it's not just that she was part of an anti-Semitic, anti-Israeli, pro-Hamas, terrorist sympathizing action. It's that she crossed another line into letting people in, using her privilege, her access to these buildings to let people in who are not allowed to be there, which, as we've seen across the country, absolutely can endanger people. I don't know which building. I don't know who was let in, but somebody who didn't have access by the university, somebody who didn't have that card, somebody who wasn't affiliated with the university to a point that a faculty member is. And what she's being accused of is saying, you abused your access, you abused your position in order to have some sort of subversion in part of this action.
And her comments about, these are students and faculty, and they're arguing that they are allowed to be here. Except the thing is, when the university says, yes, you're a student, yes, you're faculty, but you can't be here.
Yeah, and you can't do that.
You can be elsewhere. You can do other things in those spots, but you can't do that here. Well, hello, we already told you what you can and cannot do. And if you're going to defy that, yes, you're going to face consequences.
And they drew the line at you're setting up an encampment in the tents. And they said what we saw around the country is that's when it becomes violent.
Yeah.
They go into these, liberated zones or whatever they want to call them. And the Washington University said, we're not dealing with that. We're not doing it. And so they drew the line and they enforced it. Other universities drew the line thinking that these activists are going to actually be afraid of it. Columbia drew the line and said, by this time you have to disperse.
Oh, yeah. And by this morning, it's gotten worse.
Still there. And now they're out there. They're literally taking over and occupying full buildings that do not, do not belong to them. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And when I see that, like, for instance, I'm looking at some video from New York City at Columbia University. Even though there's a lot of people, to me, an overwhelming show of force is in order, knowing that people are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
That's what should be done to restore the order and reclaim the property that's been taken.
Don't these guys have finals to study for?
A lot of them probably don't.
Yeah. They might have a project they need a poster board for.
Yeah. Oh, the education department. Okay, just ahead here. Yeah, the education department. And just ahead here, there's a chance to stand for life this week. We'll tell you how and where. That's just ahead right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. You know, on campus they make fun of education majors all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning fog makes way for a lot of sunshine today. This turns out to be a dry and warmer day. Highs jumping into the low 80s this afternoon. A light south wind developing. Tonight, scattered showers, a few rumbles of thunder possible. This looks like a quick hit here. Nothing too intense or long lasting. Down to about 63 for the overnight low. Wednesday trends even warmer with highs in the middle 80s tomorrow. Mainly dry, but there is a low rain chance in the evening. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Attention, City of St. Louis. Ready to reclaim your greatness? Join us for an evening with a champion of law and order, Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Awarded 2 Bronze Stars and having commanded over 300 troops on the front lines of Iraq, A.G. Bailey is the leader now fighting for our city. Have a question for A.G. Bailey? Get it answered straight from him this Thursday, May 2nd at 7 p.m. Visit stlouisrepublicans.com for more details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
So who wants to be the White House press secretary? Well, first, do you have the credentials? I don't mean that you understand domestic and foreign affairs, but can you at least act as if you understand them? Oh, and you have to laugh at every joke Biden tells. Just don't laugh louder than Kamala. Plus, you have to be a magician. Make things that look bad for President Biden disappear. Or at least find something to distract reporters from anything that might be harmful to the president. Oh, and it helps if you are transgender, because the White House already has a lesbian spokesperson. So if you're wondering what happened to that current White House spokeswoman, Karine Jean-Pierre, well, nothing so far. But the New York Post reports the White House had been trying to get her to move along, even set up possible jobs. She's not budging. So much for a graceful exit. She insists she does a great job, spends 4 hours a day studying events, possible questions, and always has her binder handy so she can read any answers. The New York Post says there's a lot of turmoil and toxicity because she simply won't take the hint. Goodbye, adios, sayonara. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable, final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
All right, we got another chance to stand for life this week. There's a lot of, a lot going on right now when it comes to life. You wouldn't think that in a red state like Missouri, in a fairly conservative region of the country like the Midwest, that we would have to fight so hard for the basic understanding that life has value and life has meaning. But that's what we're doing right now. I mean, we've got the policy things, we've got the political things going on, and there's a chance this week to really make your voice heard on that. I'm Mike Ferguson. It is 7:39 right now. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here, got Stel Ponticus here now, joined by Kathy Forck from the Midwest March for Life, which is coming up, what's this, tomorrow, Kathy, already? Man, it's already here. Thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thank you, Gabe. Yep.
That's Mike.
Yeah, I'm Mike.
Oh, Mike.
Yep.
Excuse me.
No worries.
People confuse us all the time.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. Yep. No, but in all seriousness, no. I mean, let's start off talking about kind of the basics, because I want to get to the details of where and when and how to be involved and how to watch if you can't make it and all that sort of thing. I mean, this is an area of the country that's, compared to others, fairly conservative in values, and a lot of people are just probably thrown a little off that we still have to stand up and fight so hard for something like as basic as life has value. That the innocent need to be protected, and this is an area where we just can't let our guard down, because a lot of people think, you know what? If I live on the Missouri side of the area, we're good. I mean, we are a pro-life state. We're in good shape, but we really have to keep up not just the discussion, the awareness, but we have to keep up the fight as well.
That is so true. And tomorrow, May 1st, at 8 o'clock in the morning, the grounds will open at the Missouri State Capitol, and we will be there with different activities going until 2:30 in the afternoon. And this is a real chance for people to stand up for life, to show our legislators how we feel about life, and to show the world in general about how we feel about life here in Missouri, the first abortion facility-free state. And we pray to God that it will remain that way.
Good morning, Kathy. This is Gabe. So tell us a little bit about what the momentum's like with Midwest March for Life. We know prior to the fall of Roe, it seemed as though there wasn't much hope in sight. But since then, and since our Midwest miracle here, and like you said, becoming the first abortion-free state, things I imagine have changed. So tell us a little bit about what that transition has been like.
Well, the other side will not rest until abortion is the law of the land, as we know about the signature gatherers that have been about trying to get this abortion put into our state constitution. And because of that, we have to be even more vigilant and let people know about it. Actually, I was door knocking last weekend, and a lot of people didn't even know about the initiative petition. No one had approached them. And this is in Columbia, Missouri. But the evil of abortion is alive and well and is trying to swallow up our state. And we just pray to God that we will not be swallowed up by those who think that abortion is the way to go. So we have this march. It has been in existence for 15 years. It starts at 8 o'clock with prayer. And if people go to our website, MidwestMarchForLife.com, MidwestMarchForLife.com, they will see all the things that are happening. At 8:30, we have a live performance by Claire Huntley, a young, talented woman who has performed in Branson and New York City. And at 9:15, we'll have some announcements with an opening prayer from Bishop Edward Rice. And there will be a recognition of pro-life legislators. They'll be standing on stage as Senator Hawley's, one of his staff from the office, Madeline Castle, will lead the crowd in the Pledge of Allegiance. At 9:30, the rally will begin in full, and at 10:40, we'll have some presentation of some awards to a pro-life school of the year, which is Immaculate Conception of Jefferson City. And many of you probably know Brian Westbrook and his lovely wife, Marisa. They'll receive the Champion for Life Award. Then the march begins, and it will be led by a cross, and then the banner. And the drum corps of Helias High School will be right there front and center. There'll be a book signing by Melissa Oden, and she is our keynote this year. And other rally speakers that we have are Reagan Barklage, National Field Director of Students for Life of America, Brandy Meeks, Vitae, Ivy Allman, Brand Ambassador of Support After Abortion, Gabriel Cobb from St. Louis. He's a Tri-21 triathlete and motivational speaker. He spoke at the UN. Megan Mastro, a pro-life activist from Arizona. And our own Bridget Van Means, CEO and vision leader of Thrive Nation. Stephanie Bell, spokeswoman, Missouri Stands With Women. Nate Robertson, Vice President of Sidewalk Advocates for Life. Susan Klein, Executive Director, Missouri Right to Life. And Dr. Wes Fowler, Executive Director, Missouri Baptist Convention. And as I said before, Melissa Oden, the CEO of the Abortion Survivors Network. And so we march, and after the march, it's almost a mile through the streets of Jefferson City. There will be a fundraiser lunch. It's hosted by the Knights of Columbus of St. Peter Fulton. And then at 11:45, another live performance by Claire Huntley. And then a youth rally at 12:15 on the South Lawn Capitol steps with Nate Robertson, MC, Sidewalk Advocates for Life. There'll be another gentleman, Levi Hart from Thrive, and Chuck and Linda Raymond of St. Louis with Silent No More and Project Joseph. And at 12:15, inside the Capitol Rotunda, Dina Espenscheid of Leadership Institute will give a presentation on the ballot initiative and elections and how life wins in November. And at 1:30, there'll be Holy Mass at St. Peter Church, celebrated by Bishop Rice. And at 1:30 also, inside the Rotunda, there will be an ecumenical prayer service to defeat the ballot initiative petitions with Dr. Wes Fowler.
Yeah. Levi was just in the studio with us yesterday, and Brandy was in the studio with Vic Porcelli on this station just last week as well. Of course, Bridget.
Wow.
We talk to Bridget pretty often with her. They do some phenomenal work. Okay, so let me follow up on that. We talked about the legislators and the lawmakers. We generally speaking, we have a very pro-life majority in Jefferson City. Now we've got some key people who can get squirrely on things, but let me ask you about the culture of life. You talk about the young people, and I thought it was interesting when you were talking about Helias High School and Immaculate Conception and then the youth rally and all of these different things, because young people are growing up basically being told the standard mindset is one that embraces abortion. We have gone from keep it legal, safe, and rare to shout your abortion and celebrate it, and I'm going to get pregnant just so I can have an abortion and stick it to the man. And so we've got just this cultural assault on young people who are growing up in a world to tell them not to value lives on this. How do we win that battle? And then I definitely want to follow up with a question about the initiative petition as well, because I think I know about half the people who are speaking at the rally. But talk about the importance, because there's a lot of people say, I live in St. Louis, I live in St. Charles, I live, go get them, go get them, Kathy. But I just can't make it to Jeff City. Why would it be important to be part of something like this? It sounds like it's just bigger than just political lobbying.
What is so exciting is I handle all the reservations. When people go to our website, they register, and you don't have to register, but we do like to see where people are coming from. The number of schools from all over our state is astounding. Small schools are bringing 12, two other schools that are bringing 80. It's just amazing how many schools are coming from Springfield, Kansas City, Cape Girardeau, St. Louis, all of these different places. The youth get it, and they are so excited. They were with us last year when Levi also was part of the youth rally, and that was such a powerful event that they were just talking about it, and they just, they're anxious to come back again this year. And we are blessed because we have Megan Mastro, who at the tender age of 16 had an abortion, and she since then chose a life with God in it. And she's now one of these up-and-coming speakers. And if any of your listeners are familiar with Father Mike Schmitz, she just was on stage with him in Arizona, not even 2 months ago. A wonderful message of chastity and of the importance of life. And we're so blessed to have her. It's just going to be such a wonderful day with people from all over the state. And so many of these people feel that it is worth it. And they know that by coming, they are showing not only the legislators, but the people driving by who see the Capitol full of life, in particular, young people. And not only that, I forgot to mention, we have over 35 life-affirming exhibits of pro-life organizations in our state and national. Turning Point USA is having a booth this year, as well as Live Action. And EWTN Network, they also will be having a booth.
What message do you think is resonating most with young people? What can we as parents or aunts and uncles do to help combat that tide that Mike was talking about earlier that the kids are fighting against?
Well, I think you just need to let them know how precious life is. I mean, all of us are a gift to our parents, and the culture is just, it's so hard. It's so hard because kids are learning a whole different set of things than what we learned back in our generation. And I think by coming to these events and actually hearing from a young woman who did experience an abortion, hearing from Levi Hart, his story is just amazing. I think that kind of reaches them because sometimes, let's face it, kids don't listen to our parents, but they will listen to their peers, and they will listen to these stories. They're just mesmerized by what's going on. And last year when the kids were getting on the school buses to leave, we were passing out baskets of little fetal models, these babies, it's 10 weeks in the womb, and they have little baby blankets on. They were so cute, and the girls were just like, wow, look at this. And they were just, sometimes they just don't even realize how it's a baby from conception. Mm-hmm. And bringing that to their attention is so vital. Reagan Barklage, the National Field Director for Students of Life of America, is also phenomenal about bringing this to the kids. She's very vibrant and vivacious, and she knows exactly how to talk to the youth. She was the president of Mizzou Students for Life. She founded it, and she's just amazing. The kids learn from this. They talk about it all year long. They can hardly wait to come back the next year.
All right. And Kathy, once again, let's give out the website information. If people want to learn more, they say, hey, I want to be part of that. Where do they go to get equipped to know what's going on or at least spread the word?
They would go to our website, MidwestMarchForLife.com, and it's spelled out FOR, MidwestMarchForLife.com. We do have a phone number, 417-344-7118. But the website is the best place to go to get the information.
All right, Kathy, thanks so much for the update. Really appreciate it. Best of luck. We'll be keeping an eye on it from here in the studio tomorrow as well. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Kathy.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Who will speak up for the little ones, helpless and half abandoned? They've got a right to choose life they don't want to lose. I've got to speak up, won't you?
Hey, it's Columbo for Capriotti's Sandwich Shop. Capriotti's is famous for setting themselves apart due to their dedication to superior quality and ingredients like slow-roasted, hand-pulled whole turkey and American Wagyu straight from Snake River Farms. That dedication to superior quality is evident from the very first bite into a Capriotti sandwich. Visit Capriotti's Sandwich Shop 7 days a week at the corner of Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill, and get more info, including how to impress at your next event with their great catering at capriottis.com.
Hello, Tim Jones here with Eric from Newsteaders, Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, your diamonds are so fantastic at Newsteaders. You named the website after them, wowdiamonds.com. Tell us about Wow Diamonds.
Well, we picked that name because when people look at the diamonds, they all exclaim the same thing. Everybody says, wow. And nobody can spell Newsteaders, so we figured Wow Diamonds would definitely be a good tagline, and it's very accurate. We actually introduced the lab-grown diamond to our St. Louis family, and we're the exclusive home of the trademarked Wow Diamond. It's the most perfectly cut and polished diamond you'll ever experience, and we can fit one into anyone's budget. The thing that's nice about them is they're significantly less expensive than a mined diamond, and of course the artwork is in the cutting and polishing. That's where you get the beauty in the diamond, and that's what we excel at.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road, or on the internet, wowdiamonds.com for Newsteaders Fine Jewelers.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey, this is Rob Carter. Join me weeknights at 8 p.m. as I challenge our politicians, expose the political press, and analyze pop culture. It's the Rob Carter Show weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. here on News Talk STL. Now let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Move yourself.
All right, I've got one of those like mental exercise discussions at 8:05, okay?
All right.
So a woman is just livid that she sees another young woman, this woman's a fully grown adult, sees a adult teen, but like 18, 19 years old, walking around in some really skimpy, scandalous clothes.
Right.
Decides to confront the girl about it. Well, I'll tell you what happened because now the older woman is actually in trouble.
Yeah. This is a very interesting story to me.
Yeah, it's fascinating. 8:05. I want to know who you think was right and wrong on that. By the way, you ever get stuck into a conversation where you're kind of going, how do we get out of this?
It's usually the other person talking to me. Like I don't need to know that much about Lord of the Rings game.
I will just you and Rachel go off. 14% of people in a recent survey say that they regularly get trapped in boring conversations. 14%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
When asked how they handle them, 13% say that they can slip out of them. Which means the majority of people say, I don't know how to get out of these things.
Right.
You ever been stuck in one of these?
Yes. On occasion, I've gotten stuck in some of those.
Yeah.
It's rough.
About 1 in 10 people say they usually get bored when talking to other people, but 14% like, I don't know what to do. How do I get out of this? That sucks when that happens.
It does. I mean, and I guess we're not talking about things where, people have gone off on a tangent during their story.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I don't really need to know where they got their, their genes from for you to finish your story.
Right.
It's like, just continue. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something like the whole subject matter is you don't care about.
You don't care about, or you just don't want to be part of it.
Yes.
Like, for instance, a lot of people are surprised that when I'm off work, I really don't want to talk about politics.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah, please don't.
I mean, it's not that I'm not interested. I'm still active and everything, but I set aside parts of my life. The baseball guys know I'm off duty.
Right.
You know what? Don't ask me about the inner workings of the legislature.
Right.
Ask me about what I learned by watching the Baseball Bunch with Johnny Bench in 1978 or whatever. That's those are things you'll ask me about the situational because that's I compartmentalize much better now on those things.
Yes.
But a lot of people are saying they just get stuck. They don't know how to get out.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of one of the most boring conversations I've ever had.
I have a list.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
But here there's three ways. You can be rude. I don't care. I'm walking away. The Sheldon Cooper, approach, from Big Bang Theory. There's the invent an emergency.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I think
look at the time, and you look at your blank wrist.
Yeah, or there's trying to turn things around and slip out of it. But what are some of the most boring conversation topics ever that you're going to see?
Celebrity gossip stuff.
Yeah, it's funny because the number one on this list right here was Meghan and Harry.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. I don't care.
That was the number one.
I don't care.
Yeah. Anything royals for me.
We fought a revolution so we don't have to care about the royalty in England.
The only royals that I would find any interesting at all is the team that plays mediocre baseball actually pretty good baseball right now across the state right now. If somebody wants to start telling you about their foot pain, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Their sleep number.
Oh.
It's 70, by the way.
And I'm sorry to a bunch of my friends in saying this. I'm tired of hearing about pickleball.
Oh, yeah. Most of your hobbies are boring to Mike,
right.
So be quiet.
Yeah, and of course, anything that you would hear on NPR.
News, analysis, opinion.
After 50 years, I was able to kill Roe v. Wade.
It's a border bloodbath, and it's destroying our country.
We're going to win this race.
And we won't stand for it.
68% of black voters saying that they're ready to vote for Joe Biden. Hispanic men favoring Trump over Biden. That's a real problem for the Biden campaign.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one.
For conservative talk.
News Talk STL and newstalkstl.com.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Kim Patton from Comprehensive Integrative Healthcare. Kim, you focus on the treating of neuropathy. What are the signs of neuropathy?
The most common symptoms are numbness, burning, cramping, usually in the hands and feet.
Tell me about the success you're having with your Restore Neuropathy treatment program.
Tim, our program includes 8 distinct steps, offering a unique experience from other treatments. No surgery, no addictive medications, and we are seeing a success rate of 95%.
Kim, that is incredible. How can people learn more?
Visit us online at CIH.health. That's CIH.health.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. It's been a deadly attack on the streets of an East London suburb. British police say the attacker was armed with a sword. A 13-year-old boy was killed. A 36-year-old man is under arrest. Police say it is not being treated as terror-related or a targeted attack. 4 people, 2 of them police officers, were injured. 4 law enforcement officers killed in a shootout with a felon at a house in Charlotte, North Carolina yesterday. The officers were there to serve a warrant when they were fired on. The gunman was fatally shot by police. There's reaction from President Biden.
After getting briefed on the mass shooting, the president spoke to North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper to express his condolences and support for the community. The White House also said that senior White House officials are in contact with federal, state, and local officials.
And that's White House correspondent Greg Clugston. From east to west, anti-Israel protests continue on multiple American college campuses.
At the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill on Monday. And at the University of Texas in Austin, students shouted, "Let them go," as police officers arrested some of the protesting students. The students are calling for universities to separate themselves from companies that are advancing Israel's military efforts in Gaza. Early Tuesday, dozens of protesters on campus took over a building, barricading the entrances and unfurling a Palestinian flag out of a window. I'm Donna Warder.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu remains committed to sending the military into the southern Gaza city of Rafah. Secretary of State Blinken due in Israel shortly in a bid to advance ceasefire talks. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are down 170 points. NASDAQ futures 92 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Stop overpaying for wireless. There is a better way. Pure Talk saves the average family about $1,000 a year on the most dependable 5G network in the U.S. You can get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of high-speed data for just $30 a month. If you're ready to cut your wireless bill in half, dial pound 250 and say keyword spend less, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, dial pound 250 and say spend less, and make the switch to Pure Talk.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning fog makes way for a lot of sunshine today. This turns out to be a dry and warmer day. Highs jumping into the low 80s this afternoon. A light south wind developing. Tonight, scattered showers, a few rumbles of thunder possible. This looks like a quick hit here. Nothing too intense or long lasting. Down to about 63 for the overnight low. Wednesday trends even warmer with highs in the middle 80s tomorrow. Mainly dry, but there is a low rain chance in the evening. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. Give Benjamin Schaefer a call at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
Steph's Pizza is on the move to Lake St. Louis. That's right, you can now get the legendary Steph's Pizza and Pasta in Lake St. Louis, 111 Pond Fort Trail. Steph's Pizza, where Mondays you get a large pizza for the price of a small, and it just got more convenient for pickup or delivery in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peter's on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis at 111 Pond Fort Trail. Check them out at stephspizza.com. Tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Gabe Pfeiffer.
There's something serious I have to tell you about the future.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Hey, will you guys knock it off?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be kind of fun here. This is one of those who's right, who's wrong type things.
It's almost an am I the a-hole sort of situation, but not quite. Not quite.
Not quite.
Yeah.
But some people might say so.
Yeah.
Because those darn kids these days.
It's where we are today, I think.
And here's the thing: is this resonated with me? I think because I have a daughter.
Right.
And you've got a daughter.
I do.
And so. 314-912-1019. Are we solving a world problem here? No.
No.
But it's one of those, was she wrong on this? 8:05 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Still ahead here. The president of the St. Louis City Board of Aldermen, alder critters, alder people, alder beings, alder they thems.
The older beasts.
Whatever they are now. Alder beasts, I like that. That's a good name for a band. Alder beasts.
I just caught that too.
Oh, nice. The number 2 person in the city government is accused of abusing her privilege and her access at Washington University to help protesters who eventually became violent, or at least were part of a violent event. So I'll fill in the details that you're not getting in the headlines, and you're certainly not getting from Megan Green, but we'll do that a little bit later here. Okay, so I found this story. This is out of Utah, a city called St. George, Utah, which I've never been to St. George.
Yeah.
I've been to plenty of places in Utah. Beautiful state.
Yeah.
I would never want to live there.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, Park City, Utah is gorgeous.
Park City is very, very pretty. Park City, that's up in the mountains.
Yeah.
I actually was there, gosh, a year and a half ago. That's where
no kidding.
that's where I was. Rachel and I were visiting with Ben Carson.
Okay.
Up there, and that's where I met Kaylee McEnany, and there was it was a really cool event from First Liberty.
And Coeur d'Alene, another gorgeous
I have not
area.
been to that one, but yeah, Park City is where they did the Olympics, the skiing Olympics.
That's right.
And so we're looking out of our hotel room there, this resort up there, and you can actually see in the mountains where they had like taken out all the trees, and there were the ski slopes still there from the 19 whatever Olympics those were.
96?
Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that's a beautiful area. Salt Lake City is a beautiful city. I've been there a couple times. And then what's the one up there? Utah State University, because I gave a presentation at
Boise?
Utah State. No, Ogden, something. I don't know.
It could be Ogden.
Maybe it's one, but I got hired to do a presentation up there, and I'm driving along the mountain range. It's just gorgeous.
It is absolutely gorgeous, and you know where a lot of their new residents have come from? California.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. Now, I wouldn't move there because they actually have the conservative authoritarian government.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that. But they have a very conservative authoritarian government.
Should I say it?
The streets are clean.
Should I say it?
Say it.
It's the Mormons.
It is. Yeah. And the businesses there will tell you that.
Oh, gosh, yes. It's like the Mormons run this place.
They run it with an iron fist. And that is from them, because I was there at a State Policy Network event years ago. And a bunch of us went up to our hotel and we're like, let's go get dinner. There's nothing happening tonight. We'd all just gotten in there. And we walked into this restaurant, and it was like a upscale, I mean, I'm not gonna say bar and grill. It was a restaurant that had a bar, like many of the high end ones do.
Right.
But they were taking photographs of everybody's driver's license when you walked in. I mean, we're ready to have dinner. And so finally, I'm like,
what's this?
Coming back from the bathroom or something, and I asked the guy, because they had a bouncer, and I'm thinking, man, doesn't look like a rough place. And I'm like, dude, what was up with taking the pictures? Why do you have a picture of my driver's license now? And he goes, oh, you're not from around here.
Obviously not.
I'm like, no. He goes, yeah. He said, the Mormon Church runs the city government in Salt Lake City. He said, and they look for anything to shut down a business that serves alcohol or serves things they don't like in their religion. And that was his account to me. Listen, Mormons are like the people you want living next door to you. Nicest people you're ever going to meet.
Oh, yeah.
But service-minded, the whole nine yards.
Going to keep their property real clean.
Obviously, I have major disagreements theologically with them, but they have a very authoritarian run, but it's very pretty.
Yeah. Do they have coffee shops? I'm just asking.
There really weren't that many, because
Mormons are
they're not coffee drinkers.
Caffeine.
Not even decaf.
And by the way, I was mistaken. I was thinking Coeur d'Alene. Coeur d'Alene's in Idaho.
Oh,
not,
okay.
Not Utah.
Yeah. So anyway, we got off track here.
The location is kind of important, though.
It is.
I think so.
Okay, so here's what's happening. What happened is there was a woman, and I printed up this thing here. Her name's, let's see, Lorenzo's her last name. It's, what's her name? But anyway, so she is out at Ida Ann Lorenzo. So she's out at a restaurant.
Ida
Ann Lorenzo. So she's out at a restaurant, and she sees a young woman, turns out is 19 years old, who's there hanging out with her friends and having dinner and all that sort of thing. And she's apparently wearing a mini skirt that is so short that there is a little bit of the
booty.
old booty hanging out. And she was really offended by this. And so she's really upset. And she confronts the girls like, you need to cover up.
Yeah.
She doesn't know this girl.
Right.
But that's not even it. The girl basically blew her off.
Sure.
It sounds like she's like, get out of here, Karen. That kind of stuff. And then she walked up and grabbed the bottom of the skirt, pulled it down, cover your butt in a very
aggressive way.
Mom-like way.
Mom-like, yeah.
Right.
What are you doing?
Well, so she's 48 years old, and she reached over and pulled the skirt down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's what resonated with me with that.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter doesn't always wear clothes that I love as a dad,
right?
But she doesn't do that,
right?
So first of all, I was like, well, at least I don't have to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah,
but I completely see somebody like that is awful. That they're doing that. Okay.
Well, and it wasn't that long ago where that would have been normal behavior,
right?
For somebody in your neighborhood, an older lady in your neighborhood who you don't know necessarily may feel the need to say, hey, you're
right.
you're something showing and it shouldn't be,
right? So, but because she reached out and did that,
mm-hmm.
they end up calling the cops on her. She gets arrested for sexual assault.
Right, because you're not allowed.
Sexual battery.
Battery. Yes.
Sexual battery because she touched her.
Right.
And she touched her there.
Right. Yeah.
At the very bottom end of the skirt, which was way up there.
Right. It's a no-go zone.
Right.
Like you invaded the no-go zone, so therefore now, of course, like I said, in the era where this was normal, it would have been normal behavior for random ladies like, oh my, how dare you and do that. Nobody's calling the cops on it. Actually, the cops would probably be called on the girl with the short skirt to say indecent exposure, essentially.
Yeah.
Go home and get a longer skirt.
Yeah, the lady says because restaurant staff and parents didn't act, she took it upon herself to pull the teen's skirt down as young children were present.
Right. It's the indecent exposure idea right there.
This is one of those, I get what you're thinking, but what were you thinking when you decided to take action?
That's it. Yeah. I mean, this is not 1958.
Right.
So yes, we don't do that. Not that way.
Well, she called 911.
Who did?
The woman who ended up getting charged.
Oh, the 48-year-old called 911.
Yeah.
Wow.
She
that's
was
another bad decision.
Well, but she called him a second time because then these young people took video of this and they're like, hey, look at this Karen, and they put him up on Twitter. And she said the video of the aftermath was posted online along with her name.
Oh yeah.
And she says, I work for the state, and this was a threat on her life.
Oh, gosh.
She works for the Attorney General's office.
Yeah. So the plot thickens.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this article from ABC4 in St. George, Utah. She says, in an interview with a St. George police officer on Sunday, Lorenzo said when she pulled down the teenager's skirt, the girl whom she believed to be a minor ignored her, so she threatened to call Child Protective Services to file an indecent exposure report. This is consistent with what appears in the viral video, in which the victim is actually described as a 19-year-old. And so...
Okay, so she thought she was younger.
She thought she was a minor, but she wasn't. She just walked up to an adult woman, teenager, but an adult woman, and yanked on her clothing along her
backside.
Mid area there. And so the teenager posted the video, and she called police and said she was just sexually assaulted. And because when she pulled, she touched her while she was pulling down.
Right.
And so
because of how high the skirt was.
Yeah. So, and so this, it may have been incidental contact, but it was still contact.
Right. Yeah.
So
what's the whistle on that?
Did Lorenzo, did Lorenzo, did she commit a crime probably?
Right.
I think she was wrong in doing what she did.
Yeah,
100% wrong.
I think that's one of those discretionary type of things. If I'm the cop on the scene, I'm not writing that ticket. I mean, I might separate them, but I'm not writing the ticket.
I don't know.
Personal foul, 15 yards.
You're throwing the flag on it.
I got to tell you, when she crossed the line and touched her, if I were the cop on the scene, I'm not so sure that I wouldn't have done exactly what they did. Somebody calls and says, this stranger came up and touched me and yanked my clothing, down like this.
Right.
And I don't know. I'm not sure I agree.
That's interesting. Yes. I mean, I guess the thing is it to me, it's similar to the, somebody pushing you or kind of bumping you out of the way. I mean, technically that's a battery, right?
Battery is contact. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't run up and grab her butt cheek.
Sure,
I mean,
exactly.
It wasn't that. She didn't, but but she did touch her.
So, and to me, that kind of falls in line with the sort of the incidental contact of bumping somebody or push, or, because you're jostling for position to do something. Or it's like, okay, it's like technically that's battery, but I'm not taking somebody to jail for that. So that's kind of the category that fell with me. It's like, yeah, and in this case, she intentionally grabbed the skirt, but she didn't intentionally grab her butt. You know what I mean? It's like it's different if some guy's walking by and he grabs a handful. I'm taking you to jail for that. I might beat you up a little bit on the way, but yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know.
314-912-1019.
She was wrong to do it, though.
She was absolutely wrong to do it. She was actually wrong to just not mind her own business.
Yeah, I mean, this day and age, like I said, it's not 1958.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
I can't believe they're doing that. The waiter, could you have her cover up? There are kids. I mean, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But doing the confrontation, first of all, in 2024, that's a stupid thing
That is a stupid move.
Secondly, to put your hands on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think she's 100% wrong on this. I actually think she crossed the line when she touched her. What do you think?
I agree.
Let me know. 314-912-1019. By the way, the boring conversation. Blues Nut just put the notes here on Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, we have a pickleball court here. I don't care, Blues Nut. Jeez.
Can you send pictures?
No.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Because truth matters.
Let's speak that truth.
Because understanding matters.
Let's break this down.
With all that's happening,
And it's happening a lot faster.
what matters most is,
The only question that matters here.
are you informed?
Important issues that are facing this country.
Depend on us.
The latest events.
The information you need
Here are the facts.
when you need it.
We always have great conversations.
You guys have a great radio station.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
All right, well, we're talking about protecting your homes. You cannot forget your windows. This is really important. I didn't even think about how important windows are until I moved into an old classic home that's been very well cared for, and you see how much work it is to keep that home up in the condition to protect your family and protect the value of your home. And one of the best ways to do that is to call my friends at Window World. They are simply the best for less. 314-993-1800. I could spend this entire minute talking to you about how they're going to save you money. I've done that before. You save the money up front because they're less expensive than pretty much any other window. You save money because they make your home more thermally efficient, and you save money because you never have to pay to replace them because they have a lifetime warranty. But let's talk about making sure that your home is performing. You don't think of your home as performing. You think of your home as just standing there or sitting there, but that's not what it does. Your home serves so many purposes. Yes, it's a financial investment. One of the ways to get the maximum out of that is to make it the most valuable that you can. And when you're able to say, by the way, these are Window World windows, these are double hung, these are double strength, these have a warranty on them. And these are just one of 2 windows in the world that have the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. That's just an extra added benefit when you are ready to make a move with your home. They are the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues, as a matter of fact. Call them today, 314-993-1800, and find out what they can do for you. But also, when they come out, understand this. These are professionals. These are St. Louisans. These are not those fly-by-night people who come out after a storm and then give you a high-pressure sales, and they're not going to leave until you sign that contract because they've got a limited amount of time to pressure you into making a deal. That's not what Window World does. I was talking to John, who owns Window World here in St. Louis, and he says, man, we don't want to be treated like that. That's not how we treat people. We believe we've got a product that is going to benefit you. We show you what we can do. We answer your questions, and then it's up to you to make the decision, and if you have any more questions, just call us. He goes, but we don't do that. We hate it when people do that, and they don't do that. So don't worry about that sort of approach. That's not the type of person they hire. That's not the type of business that they do. 314-993-1800. You call that number, and you're talking to St. Louisans right here in St. Louis, right here in Earth City, right there off of I-70. Window World ranked number 1 in the number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. That's a magazine you don't subscribe to, but you know who does? The professionals who do renovations and know what it takes to keep your home in the best condition possible. So join over 72,000 customers in St. Louis alone in having Window World improve the look and the efficiency and the investment of your home. 314-993-1800.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
And then the media.
1019 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Mark McCloskey. Check out my show, Mark McCloskey on Fire, Sunday afternoon at 5 here on News Talk STL. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
There must be some kind of way out of here. Say the joker to the thief.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
Okay, I've got our morning news dump here. I was looking through Facebook during that information segment just a second ago, Gabe, and I follow most of the universities, just for news purposes.
Yeah.
And this literally just popped up on my Facebook. It's from Northwest Missouri State University. The headline is, and this is from the university, Ford, meaning Dr. Alyssa Ford. So Ford co-authors book about gay rodeo culture.
What? I was trying to process the words that just entered my brain, and it skipped a beat.
This is what they're bragging about. Okay. Dr. Alyssa Ford, a professor of history at Northwest, has authored her second book. It's called Slapping Leather: Queer Cowfolks, COWFOLX, Slapping Leather: Queer Cowfolks at the Gay Rodeo, which was published by University of Washington Press in January.
I'm surprised she didn't name it Brokeback Rodeo.
Oh, my God. Well, probably a copyright thing there. But
oh, my gosh.
Cowfolks with an X.
With an X.
As well. Oh, my goodness. So be glad that I'm writing the news here for this and not Northwest Missouri State University. Just saying here.
Gosh.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. Here's what's happening here. Of course,
Teach
obviously.
them something useful. My gosh, how hard is it?
Oh, my goodness. What the hell? Okay. St. Louis Board of Aldermen President Megan Green is still complaining about Washington University's decision to not tolerate pro-Hamas protesters, which, by the way, includes her, on their campus over the weekend.
I've been to a lot of protests over my 20 years, and this was one of the most brutal responses that I've seen.
Okay, so she's an adjunct professor in social justice-y things.
Or at least she was.
Yeah, she was. Well, she still is.
See.
She's been put on administrative paid leave because of her role in the activities over the weekend, which became violent and resulted in over 100 arrests. So she's going going around to the media basically trying to cry victim here. She's saying this was authoritarian, this was brutal, this was, they shouldn't have been doing this. They should have allowed the peaceful protest. It didn't get bad until the police showed up and all of this kind of nonsense.
They were big meanies.
Yeah, turns out, though, that the big meanies at Wash U suspended her not because she was part of the anti-Semitic protest.
Right, which they obviously
they could if they wanted to.
Yeah, and
she's just an adjunct. She's not even a real professor.
But they kind of agree with them anyway.
Yeah,
on the actual points. It's just some of the details of what they were doing that they had a problem with, which includes the accusation that Megan Green abused her access to the buildings using her swipe card, her key card there, to let people in who were not allowed to be there, people who did not have authorized access to the private property of Washington University in the midst of a protest, which ended up becoming violent because they were trying to set up an encampment. If you have access to a door that locks, electronically or otherwise, you have a responsibility to protect that access, and usually, especially if you're signing on to a company with key card access, you probably signed an agreement that says you won't, and under penalty, do so, that you won't let unauthorized people through those doors using your access.
Yeah, so she gave some of these protesters or whoever they were access after police at Washington University said, absolutely not in here. These are people who did not have a key card to get in, and she's accused of letting him in kind of subversively. So they're doing that investigation here. So there's more to the story than her just going around whining that they're mean and they suspended her because she participated in the protest. That's not the full story.
No.
All right. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre at the White House being asked at the briefing Monday about colleges and universities penalizing students and others on campus during all of these protests that were happening. Here's what she had to say, and every once in a while she actually says something that's in the ballpark of making sense.
It is up to their leadership, university leadership and colleges, to make that decision. Not going to weigh in on that from here. We're going to continue to say all Americans have the right to peacefully protest. At the same time, we have to call out any hateful rhetoric that we hear. Anti-Semitism is wrong.
You do have the right to peacefully protest. She's absolutely right about that.
She is.
What she didn't discuss in that soundbite is that occupying, that locking arms and not allowing Jewish students and faculty to move freely upon your campus, smashing buildings, claiming and taking over things that don't belong to you is not peaceful protest.
Well, she didn't say it because it wasn't in her binder.
That's right. That's right. Very true.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. All right. The investigation into Missouri Speaker of the House, Dean Plocher, is over. The House Ethics Committee voted to drop the inquiry on Monday. There are no penalties. There are no accusations that are moving to the full House. There's going to be no sort of hearings on this. It's over. The committee was looking into accusations that he pushed a software contract with the state outside of the normal bidding process, and that he tried to intimidate whistleblowers, and that he misreported some expenses, which Dean Plocher did, but pointed out that some of those had been, at least some of those, I think he says all of them, have been paid back from there. But the at issue was really the whistleblower intimidation, witness intimidation, and accusations of the $800,000 contract being pushed by him outside of the process. But the Ethics Committee voted 7-2 to say that they are not going to move forward, and they've ended that investigation, and it's over.
Interesting.
So, so he will not be dealing with any more hearings or anything like that on this stuff.
In my world, the appearance of impropriety is to be considered impropriety.
Well, and he's running for statewide office too.
Yeah.
Right now. So that affects his campaign quite a bit as well. All right. That Sudanese couple who set up a camp on the street in South City for years.
Oh, yes.
Back on the street.
Okay. All right. Our favorite shanty construction company is
yeah.
back up and running.
Well, last week, city officials tore down that really smelly encampment shanty and tried to move them into housing that was offered to them for free.
Which is to say, at taxpayer expense.
Exactly. Now the couple has been spotted roaming around that part of town again, just off Gravois this time, according to a couple of the TV stations, not too far from Chippewa and Spring. City officials say that the couple, once again, refusing any help. from anybody.
Bring back asylums.
Yeah. All right. The Cardinals got an unexpected day off on Monday as their game with the Tigers was rained out, inclement weather. They're going to play a good old-fashioned doubleheader today.
Okay, like a real one.
Real one, yeah. So 2 9-inning games back-to-back. Because you mentioned back-to-back right away, because what it used to be was you would play one and then they would clear the stadium so that they could charge everybody to come back in and watch the second game.
A split doubleheader.
The split doubleheader. This is just, we're going to play 2.
All right.
Hey, Ernie, let's play 2. That resonates with Chicagoan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that starts at 2:40 today. Kyle Gibson on the start for the first game for the Redbirds. Going to be up against a familiar face, Tigers pitcher Jack Flaherty, who the Cardinals wisely got rid of about, a year and a half ago, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, they should have gotten rid of him a couple years ago, at least. All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning fog makes way for a lot of sunshine today. This turns out to be a dry and warmer day. Highs jumping into the low 80s this afternoon. A light south wind developing. Tonight, scattered showers, a few rumbles of thunder possible. This looks like a quick hit here. Nothing too intense or long lasting. Down to about 63 for the overnight low. Wednesday trends even warmer with highs in the middle 80s tomorrow. Mainly dry, but there is a low rain chance in the evening. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
Former President Trump met with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis over the weekend, and I like what I'm hearing. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
The elites want more control through digital currencies in a cashless society. This is Stephen K. Bannon, and I believe gold is the answer to safeguard your wealth, especially if you own your gold inside of a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting SHELTER to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, so text SHELTER to the number 989898 to claim your free info kit today.
Message and data rates may apply.
According to several reports, former President Trump met privately with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis over the weekend in Miami. While we don't have details on exactly what they discussed, the reunification of the conservative movement's top 2 leaders is a feast for sore eyes. The rocky primary season tit for tat put the conservative movement in a tough spot, so I'm happy to hear the strongest patriots of our movement might be reconciling and moving towards a bright future in partnership. Now, some are speculating this could be the precursor to a potential DeSantis running mate announcement. Well, that would be logistically complicated given both men are Florida residents, but the thought is pretty stellar. Either way, I hope the 2 men join forces and campaign vigorously for Republicans up and down the ballot, because now is time for the conservative powerhouses to come together. This is a great sign. Trump 2024, DeSantis 2028. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and SouthernArmory.com. That's SouthernArmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at SouthernArmory.com.
Attention farmers, is your material handling equipment coming up short in your operation? A JCB TM Series telescopic wheel loader from Sievers JCB can take your productivity to new heights. Bucket capacities range from 1 yard to 4 yards and lift heights up to 18 feet. Don't miss out on special short-term lease options and put JCB TM productivity to work on your farm for under $3,000 per month. To schedule your on-farm demo, call or visit SieversJCB.com today.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo with a great offer from the cleaning pros at Zero Res. So many of us are suffering from allergies right now. It's time to get your home clean and healthy, and Zero Res is here to help. Book a cleaning in April and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129, plus you can take $50 off your air duct cleaning. Get the jump on spring cleaning now. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I want to know one thing. Where's the Republican outrage?
Live and local.
And how worked up are you news and political junkies for this one at this point?
This is News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
All right, a woman goes on social media and complains that she thinks she was discriminated against because of all of her face tattoos. But, there's a lot of people who think like that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the story here in a couple minutes. 8:36 right now. I'm Mike. Got Gabe here. Got Stell here. Okay, so if you're just joining us, a few minutes ago, we talked about this situation out in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a lot of comments on this online here. And this had to do with a 48-year-old woman who was at a restaurant. Sounds like it was a pretty decent restaurant. It was a Japanese steakhouse restaurant, for whatever that's worth, in Utah. And she was really offended by this 19-year-old young woman who was apparently wearing a skirt so short, and nobody disputes her claim that the skirt was so short that body parts were hanging out. Little booty cheek was hanging out there.
Mm-hmm.
And she confronted the young woman. Turns out was 19. She thought she was a minor and underage, and she was like threatening to call CPS for indecent exposure and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when the young woman told her to buzz off, she actually came back up to her and put her hands on the skirt and pulled the skirt down. It was like, cover yourself, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the 48-year-old woman ended up being charged with sexual battery.
Yeah.
So Gabe and I were disagreeing on whether or not, if you're the cop in that situation, do you actually write that citation for something like that? Gabe, you were like,
yeah, I was like, that's a borderline for me.
Yeah, I think when she put her hands on her, I think she crossed the line.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's snowflakery, to say no. When you actually reach out and touch somebody and yank on something, is it an assault and battery, like, they got mugged or something like that? No, it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
But you can't allow people just to go around, putting their hands on each other.
She was definitely wrong.
Oh, she was absolutely wrong.
We agree that she was wrong. I think we're only disagreeing on the level to which her wrist needs to be slapped because of the the infraction.
She doesn't. I don't think she should go to jail.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Like that. Well, then she got mad because the 19-year-old did what 19-year-olds do, which was take a video and put her on TikTok. And then she called the cops again. She's like, she put this on TikTok. This is going to make my life miserable.
You kind of asked for that.
She called me a Karen.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
I deal with this all the time when I'm wearing Cub stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, take that off.
But the thing is,
what are you doing?
Here's the thing.
That's indecent.
In St. Louis, there's an exception to the law.
I understand. I know I'm in enemy territory. I realize that.
We're allowed. I'm just saying. All right.
That up.
Hey, Tom, thanks for being on Newstalk STL. What's your take on this?
Well, first of all, I agree with you guys. She was wrong in what she did, that lady. Again, Utah is, and Salt Lake especially, very conservative area. But I wanted to correct you on something.
Okay.
It isn't the Mormon Church. It's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, I happen to have been a member of that church since 1971.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago, yes, we went by Mormon. But really, we are Christians, and I think that's one of the reasons why we've started asking people to refer to us not as the Mormon Church, but the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because so many people feel that we are not Christians. But again, there are a lot of people, and I think you can find it in any church, that are very, what I want to call self-righteous people, okay?
I grew up Baptist, believe me, I know that.
I got to share something. You talked about Park City.
Yeah.
On the latter side of things, I went up to Park City with a friend of mine one time, and he had actually served a mission for the church here at St. His father was at one time the organist for the Tabernacle Choir, but
hey, Tom, which Tabernacle Choir?
The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. The Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Oh, that one. Okay,
they changed the name.
Yes, it is. Okay. Well, but on the latter side, I see this property for sale up there. Now, this has probably been 15, 20 years ago. Okay, and so I said.
Hey, Tom, we are losing your signal there. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, good, Tom. I appreciate. Hey, thanks for calling. We have some theological differences, which is fine.
That's a different show.
That's different topic. And maybe we can get to at some point. But we're just losing your signal there. I think he might be in Park City because that's really high.
Oh yeah.
But Tom, thanks for being a part of News Talk STL.
Yeah, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. That's I mean,
it is what it is.
Yeah, the thing is there, and the fact that this was in Utah doesn't change what's going on with this particular situation right here.
Because that could have happened anywhere.
Yeah, that could have happened anywhere. But the question is should she face a criminal charge in this case?
Yeah. Well, and I'm thinking at best maybe a ticket. You know, like something equivalent to a traffic violation, essentially.
I'm grabbing my story here
like
from
if that's at all possible.
Can you just issue a warning?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was. That's like I wouldn't ticket her. I would give her remove her from the situation. Give her warnings like, hey, you can't do that. If you do anything like that again, I'm throwing the book at you, kind of thing. Like that's where I was with the whole situation.
Okay, so according to ABC4 in Utah, Lorenzo, 48, is charged with sexual battery. Documents filed Wednesday in the 5th District Court show Lorenzo of Santa Clara is facing a single count of the Class A misdemeanor charge. She was booked into jail, but has since been released. It says, according to the statement of probable cause, Lorenzo reported the incident herself the night it happened, telling dispatch that the teenager had her skirt, quoting, hiked above her and exposing her
undergarments.
No. Exposing.
Oh, she wasn't wearing undergarments?
She was.
Okay.
That she turned out to be wrong about that.
Okay.
It goes on to say, because restaurant staff and parents didn't act, Lorenzo said she took it upon herself to pull the teen's skirt down as young children were present. So she literally called 911 to report herself, whether she realized she was doing that or not.
Yeah. You can't call 911 to report a fashion crime. That's not what.
Well,
that's
she was
for.
arguing indecent exposure.
Well, I mean, there's some level to that, maybe. I don't know. It sounds weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. First of all, they're inside a private area there. So, but she's like, no, yeah, this is what happened. And she was threatening to call CPS. And anytime somebody threatens to call Child Protective Services, okay, unless there's like a horrible thing happening right in front of you, that's a red flag.
You're jumping the gun. You're misreading this situation. There's something wrong. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, when you jump to that, especially when we're talking about a public space. Look, if I was the restaurant owner or a manager, I'd say you can't wear that here.
Well, exactly. And also, I would tell this woman to get out.
Yes.
And
the loud lady is like, both of you need to get out because I don't want this in my restaurant. Everybody's trying to enjoy their food.
Right. And the 19-year-old is doing what they do, which is put it on video, put on TikTok, and then she called the police back and saying she's putting me on the internet. Well,
that's how that goes.
Then leave people alone. Don't mind your business there.
I'll tell you what, that girl's OnlyFans is going to blow up.
Yeah, if she's got one. Yeah. She told police that Lorenzo came up behind her without warning, touched her butt, pulled down her skirt. The incident left her feeling startled and violated, the police report states. Several witnesses filed similar reports with police. So this was not done on the sly. This was not done. And the teenager provided police with video of herself in the skirt that night. And she explained that she was wearing underwear, that it would have been impossible for the things to be exposed that this woman was accusing her of. At first, Lorenzo denied touching her skin and just said she was grabbing the skirt, but still incidental contact is contact. And she kept saying she thought the girl was going commando.
Right.
Which turned out was not the case.
Yeah.
And so the police told her that the actions still meet the criminal elements of sexual battery. So she was booked and then later released. Videos on social media related to the incident said Lorenzo's social media profiles said that she works for Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes. Now that could be anything. That could be a file clerk. That could be anything. It doesn't sound like she's an attorney. But she's now upset that this could endanger her job.
Right.
Well, your actions endangered your job.
Yeah, exactly. Going a bit too far with your kind of your view there, which is that kind of talks a little bit to what we were talking about with the whole tattoo situation too. It's just kind of the public discourse, the public understanding, the social compact between people about how we're supposed to treat each other and how we discern certain people based on the way they present themselves. I think those are kind of related stories, but I don't think we have time to talk about the tattoo right now.
Well, we can do that in a few minutes.
We could do it.
Yeah, we can do it because that's like a woman claiming she was discriminated against because of how she chooses to present herself, and it's that more of that kind of entitlement mindset. You know, on this one though, if you look at the 19-year-old and then the 48-year-old in this particular thing there, I'm looking down on the 19-year-old's attire choices.
Yes,
because it's clearly at best was borderline. Okay. That just means that I may disapprove.
Right.
But I think that Ms. Lorenzo was the one 100% in the wrong here.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I find both inappropriate. Just one, the 48-year-old should have known better.
Exactly. And then she got mad that they're calling her a Karen.
It's like, well, the thing
don't
is,
act like a Karen.
Yeah, if you walk like that, talk like a duck.
Don't do that.
And by the way, I have several Karens in my life, and they are beautiful, awesome people. And I hate that Karen has become synonymous with this loud, entitled lady you trying to be authoritarian in public. It's like I hate that those things are related.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's. They either have fun with it or they're miserable because of it. Do any of them now go by their middle name?
No,
it's not Karen, it's Marie.
No, they're still Karens and they're still lovely ladies.
I don't think this one's blowing over.
No.
It's like Poindexter.
Yeah, seriously. Poindexter's an interesting name.
It is.
But now it's gone.
314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Caring for a loved one is stressful. It's an emotional time, and we want our loved ones to get the quality of care they deserve. But the cost of long-term care is expensive. In the St. Louis area, it could be $60,000, $70,000, or even over $100,000. Can your savings handle this added expense? Fortunately, News Talk STL listeners have an expert right here. Financial strategist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management shows families tax-efficient strategies to fund care needs. Whether planning in advance, have health concerns, or living in a care community today, solutions exist to fund the quality of care you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Visit SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Alpha LLC, SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Hey, St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. If you are sick and tired of the corporate news bubble, if you like unedited information free from corporate money, if you want straight talk with no script, join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on The Rob Carter Show.
Live and local, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL. Listen anytime.
It happens
anywhere.
Anywhere.
Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news
with the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Harps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, the latest oppressed class in some people's minds are those with a lot of tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second here. By the way, out in New York, this was just kind of it's breaking news, but it's not like okay. So the Donald Trump trial regarding the hush money thing, the money paid off to Stormy Daniels stuff. Just a couple of updates from the Washington. This is Washington Post. As of a few minutes ago, a couple of rulings here from the judge. Donald Trump is going to be allowed to go attend his son's high school graduation on the 17th.
So well, that's something.
They're doing that.
All right.
But he's also been found in contempt of court for 2 gag order violations and fined $1,000 each.
Oh, that's pocket change.
Which is like he probably literally has in his pocket. Mm-hmm. So that just happened about 12 minutes ago.
I think what that just means is he realized how much his speech costs, and he's like, "Oh, easy."
Yeah,
it's like, "Oh, I could do this all day."
Yeah, that's a return on investment for him right there. So, yeah, there'll be more on this likely at the information segment here in about 7 minutes as well, and Vic's probably covering this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's one of those things that went all over the internet, and it kind of encapsulates, I think, what. And you mentioned this earlier, Gabe. I don't want to admit that I'm at that stage of life where it's like those darn kids curmudgeonly type of stuff. But mindsets are changing. There was a civil rights movement because there were an entire large portion of our population who were denied things like the right to buy a home, the right to enter contracts, who were excluded from the market, who were dealing with true, police brutality and the dogs and the hoses. And so the civil rights movement addressing an actual systemic, discrimination in the country. And since then, everybody wants to be in some kind of class.
Yes.
I, at one point, was at a company I worked at, and they told me when you do the onboarding and the HR people come in and they do their be nice to everybody stuff, they said everybody is part of a protected class.
You're a victim class.
Everybody's in a victim class.
Yes.
If you are of a person of any faith whatsoever, then you're protected by religion. If you are an atheist or agnostic, well, that's protected class too. You name, everybody is in a protected class for something, which means they're all meaningless.
Yeah, it's all meaningless. Yeah, completely. Exactly.
So in this case, there's a 23-year-old named Ash O'Brien, and you'll be shocked to know that she's from California.
Yeah, shocked also.
And she goes on TikTok, she goes on social media, complaining that she wanted to get a job at a retail setting and she didn't get the job. And here's part of what she blames.
So I wanted to come on here and talk about something that is really starting to annoy me. So I applied for a job at TJ Maxx a few weeks ago, and they denied my application. They couldn't even call me. They just sent me some automated email. So I went in today and I was like, so what was the reason I didn't get hired? And she was like, oh, like, you just, like, don't have enough experience. There was candidates that had, like, more experience than you. And, I asked her if it was about my tattoos, obviously, because I know a lot of places don't like tattoos. She said that wasn't the reason. I don't feel like that's true, but whatever, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so a couple of things here. First of all, to go in and confront and say, did you not hire me because of my tattoos? You owe me an explanation.
Why didn't you call me?
She doesn't. They don't owe you squat.
It's not a breakup You know, they don't owe you a face to face.
Right.
You get rejected by email from companies. That's how that works.
Listen, Ash, they don't owe you an explanation.
No.
But here's the thing, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
Explain what these tattoos are that she's claiming she thinks was part of the reason that she didn't get the job, and is basically arguing she was discriminated against.
This is a very important detail because, okay, first of all, and this, the major one, the major couple that stand out to me are the one on her throat, which is basically a demon skull with spider legs coming out and spider webs, and you know, one of those legs kind of extends off onto its cheek. Oh yeah, two of them. Yeah, I guess one on each cheeks kind of extends onto her cheeks. And then there's the Baphomet goat head demon that is, you know, peeking out from her tank top, you know, with his with the you know, the
right there in the middle of the chest,
5-pointed star symbol on his head, and you know, and his horns and everything. Just looking.
And this isn't even talking about the
like
entire
Satan.
forehead that's covered in tattoos.
Yeah, forehead.
Yeah, I mean,
side
she's
of her
like,
face.
hey, my eyes are up here. Yeah, but your Baphomet satanic thing is right there,
staring at
That's
me.
what. Yeah, I'm looking at. That's there,
creeping me
out. So she's covered with all of this, and it's. Of course, 7 million views, and I mean, there's a lot of people who are calling her out. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
What did you expect?
Of course, they're not going to put you on a
It's
retail
TJ Maxx.
sales floor. What did you think? You're going to walk up with your demon boobs, and you're going to. I mean, what do you think was going to happen?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
You know, and
you're not selling a blouse till 48-year-old Karens,
right? And then there's others who are saying that's so wrong for them to, you know, discriminate against you just because you have tattoos. That's a way, you know, that sort of thing. And I'm thinking, your decisions and consequences have your decisions have consequences.
Yes.
I mean, this is part of, you want to be on the fringe and challenge the standards. Okay, fine. You've got the right to do that.
Right.
But that means other people still have the right to reject you for it.
Yeah. Now, earlier when we were talking about this, I talked about how our brains are kind of, you know, discrimination machines. Now, because discrimination has such a bad rap as a word, we'll say discernment. Sure. I can look at this person and discern that she's not going to fulfill this role the way I would want her to,
or the way our customers,
want her to.
So sorry, Ash.
It is what
you
it
didn't
is.
get the gig.
So perhaps my work here is done. Perhaps it's time that I moved on to a place where there's stuff to do.
When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
101.9 and 94.1.
You know, you have to take a stand sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion.
I never planned on having kids because I didn't want any issues from my past to carry on to my children. When I found out that I was pregnant, I was terrified. I left the office at Planned Parenthood feeling even more confused. They only addressed the pregnancy and not me as a person. But then I heard about Thrive on the radio. Many people were telling me that I was making the wrong choice to have my baby, but Thrive truly empowered me to be a godly mom for my son. Thrive is an example of unconditional love because no matter what condition I came to them in or the things I struggled with, there was no judgment. It's been 10 years now. My son is doing great, and I am a successful mom. This would be impossible without partners like you all listening right now. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Give STL Day is coming up on May 9th, and me and my son are cheering on Thrive to become the 8-time champions. Would you join me? You can go to thrivealivestl.org right now to see your $33 gift double matched and trigger the rescue of a child. That's thrivealivestl.org. thrivealivestl.org. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Attention, City of St. Louis. Ready to reclaim your greatness? Join us for an evening with a champion of law and order, Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Awarded 2 Bronze Stars and having commanded over 300 troops on the front lines of Iraq, AG Bailey is the leader now fighting for our city. Have a question for AG?